T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. Welcome to the Trap Talk Podcast's Holy Gecko session. It's Sunday, baby. What is good? I'm your boy, MJ. If this is your first time tapping in, do your boy a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. That we're on top of every single podcast I drop here on this YouTube channel. If you're into reptiles, either experienced, just now got into reptile keeping, either the breeding or, just the pet side of things, man, this is a good place to be. This is where you learn all about different species of reptiles. But like I said, Sunday is all dedicated to the geckos or the lizards, anything that has four legs, I guess you could say, all going down tonight. I got to say thank you to anyone who's out here, who subscribes to the channel and coming back and watching. It means a lot to me. But drop a comment. Let me know what you're liking best out of these podcasts. Let me know what guest you like the best. If there's a guest you want me to bring back on, I'm pretty good at doing round twos, but or even round threes. But if there's a certain guest out there that you guys really want me to bring back or you're looking to hear from, let me know. Shoot me a message, man. But yeah, thank you to all love and support. I will say before we get into things, I don't want to be biased, but guess we will. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Focus Cube Habitats, baby. I'm telling you right now, man, one of my very first sponsors of this podcast. I'm not gonna lie. This is a honor to have these two on tonight. Primarily they're being brought on because of their gecko company that they started, but a lot of you people that are in the same realm as me as far as in snake game know these two off of Focus Cube Habitats, man. I gotta say, Focus Cube has made a huge impact this year, not only on my reptile room that I'm in right now, but multiple others, man. Shit's spreading. So I gotta say, the future is here. It is Focus Cube Habitats. Head over to the website, place an order. I just found out, I don't even know if I'm supposed to drop this information, but one of my good friends, very big OG, triple OG, big dog in the game, is placing a Focus Cube order. I think it's his first order. I don't know if he did already, so I'm not going to spill too many beans. But anyways, I'm telling you right now, everything you see behind me is Focus Cube, okay? I have like maybe this side of the wall that needs Focus Cube enclosures, but this is what it is, all right? They do custom stuff as well on their website, so go check them out. I'm telling you right now, once you go Focus, you don't go back. That's a fact. I'm telling you right now. So thank you to Steven and Ashley for supporting the trap from the get-go. Please go support my friends. Go support Focus Cube Habitats. Go over to Instagram, give them a follow. And like I said, go check out their website, man. It's shit's sick as fuck. So shout out to all the early birds. I see you guys there. I'll get to you guys in just a second. If you're looking for exclusive content out there, if you want more than what you see here on a weekly basis, if you're brand new into the game, if you're looking to branch out and kind of meet some people, if you want to know who the hell's serious and who are the non-serious, well, then I got to tell you right now, go down to the very first link that you see in the description and join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Once you become a part of the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord, which taps you with over 150 people in the Reptile Trap family. This is no joke. We don't play around, but man, it's a good way to kind of get your name out there and meet some people who are all about their business. And we all have a good time as well, man. So the Trap Talk Patreon family, come fuck with us. Like I said, exclusive content. I drop stuff periodically. The Soundcheck Chronicles, really awesome, new exclusive type thing that I do for the Patreon members as well. And yeah, big things pop into 2023 for all my Patreon members. Like I say, big shouts on my Patreon members. I love you guys so much. Thank you for all your love and support. I probably work as hard as I do because of my Patreon members. They are honestly my big drive in this. So thank you so much for all that you do. Can't wait for Trap Fest 2023. The list of who's coming to Trap Fest as far as on the celebrity appearance side is next level. Gotta tell you, there's some big hitters coming to Trap Fest next year. And yeah, we're going to step it up. I can tell you that much. So yeah, come fuck with us. Love my Patreon family. If you're looking what I have going on other than reptile stuff, other than podcast stuff, other than podcasting stuff, if you want to see what I got going on with my reptiles and my projects, head over to Instagram. go give me a follow, TrapGod619 on Instagram, and then you could go give the the podcast's page a follow on Instagram as well, the Trap Talk Podcast. If you're on Facebook, all right, people are on Facebook. Don't try to say you're not on Facebook. People are on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, go to my new page on Facebook, the Trap Talk Podcast. Follow me there. Hit that like. Watch any episode you want from that page. Thank you for anyone who supports me on Facebook. I appreciate it. It's been a bumpy ride, but hey, we're here, buddy. Let's do it. Appreciate all of the support. Yeah, it's gecko time, man. Who's ready for this shit? I'm excited. Super excited. Oh, hold on. I got to throw this out there. I always forget because it's very important. And I spent a lot of money on this shit. So I got to make sure I talk about my website. Please go to my website, guys, if you want to stay on top of my other YouTube channels, okay? Because I just dropped a vlog, okay, on how I just got the most expensive ball python package I've ever received from a good friend named Mark Bailey from Mark Bailey Reptiles. So if you go to my website, right, trappodcast.com, not only can you catch up on some of the most recent biggest shows that I've had so far on this website, but if you go over to vlogs here, you can actually head over to my YouTube channel, the Trap Vlogs, and you can catch all my up-to-date vlogs that I put out every week. But that's that vlog right there. I just got some crazy heat from my man Mark Bailey, so make sure you head over, subscribe to the Trap Vlogs on YouTube, and go check out my most recent video and go look at the damn ball python heat I just added. Elevated my entire ball python game. And by the way, that 15K is a low number. Mark told me that shit's a lot more than what I just got. So my bad, Mark. But anyways, guys, it's going to be sick. Also, on my website, you actually could get one of my new Trap Talk t-shirts, okay? Why I'm not wearing it? Because it's dirty, and I don't want to wear new ones because I'm shipping out a bunch of shirts. Guys, that being said, I have like over 40 new Trap Talk podcast t-shirts, the 2.0 shirts that are sending out. I don't know how many are left in this wave, but don't get slept on this wave, man. If you really want the Trap Talk Podcast 2.0 t-shirts, let me know. Okay, either shoot me an email, the thesnaketrapsessions@gmail.com, or hit me up directly on Instagram, or go to my website. Okay, you have 3 different ways to make sure you don't get slept on one of these shirts. And I gotta say, shout out to everyone who bought a shirt, man. I just love the support. You guys are awesome, man. Seriously, I rep this shit as the coolest reptile podcast in the world because first off, someone gave me that name. Second, I really live by that name because of you guys. You guys are really the ones making me ride this shit as hard as I do. So thank you for all the love and support. Early birds, what's good? I need a drink. Cheers. Ooh. Slithery Serpents, what is up? Thank you for tapping in. Appreciate your love and support. Cody Watkins. What's up, Cody Watkins? Robert Ham. What a ham. What's up, buddy? Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a YouTube member. I appreciate it. Chantel, not only is she a YouTube member, but she's a Trap Talk Patreon member, Trap Talk Team Zoo Dreams, and she's a part of the management team. She's an overall trapper for lifer. This is my girl right here, Chantel. Go give her a follow on Instagram. Pacific Rim Serpents, thank you so much for your support. Central Jersey Exotics, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. What is up, player? Excuse me. Sunshine State Sulfurs. What's up, buddy? Thanks for tapping in. JKJ Reptiles, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Eric's Morph Factory, what is up? Thanks for tapping in. Constrictor Connection, my dog right here. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. The homie Shane. Missed you today, Shane. My bad, dog. We got to get together here soon. Big things popping. I do want to say we're going to talk a little bit after tonight's episode on what's to come Thursday, but it's all brought to you by this guy right here, my OG homie, Ricky Bobby SRT. Appreciate your love and support. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Team Zoo Dreams. The homie Julio Fulio. What is up, player? Thanks for tapping in. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Wise Guy. Big support right here from the homie Wise Guy. Appreciate it so much. Thanks for what is going on right now. There we go. Wise Guy. What is up? Thanks for tapping in, Wise Guy. Appreciate your love and support. Texas Kid Reptiles. Texas. All day, every day. I fuck with Texas, man. We actually got Texas here in the building tonight, man. It's going to be great. Stone Age Ball Python, what is up? Thanks for tapping in. Rainy Day Reptiles, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Jeremy, Bods Exotics, what's up, player? Thanks for tapping in. Homie Brandon, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Thanks for tapping in, player. Moonman Exotics, what is up? Elite Exotics BP, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Appreciate it. The homie Jason McCready coming through from Facebook. What's up, player? Thanks for tapping in. Appreciate your support. Jamie from Pico Pythons. What is up, girl? Thanks for tapping in. Appreciate you so much. Addicted to Cresties. Yeah, then you're in the right place if you're addicted to Cresties. That's for damn sure. Homegrown Lily, Nagatani Exotics. Just had an amazing new breed on the block series with her. Yeah, what? Raiders are up. Honestly, I'm not, that's awesome. Raiders have broken my heart so many times. Don't get too excited, Lily. All right. I'm sorry. I'm just being a real downer. Uniquely muted morphs in the building. What is up? Thanks for tapping in. Darren Owens. What is up? Thanks for tapping in. Big E. The homie Big E in the building. And Ivory Reptiles. Thanks for tapping in. I appreciate it. Pierce 720. And we already have some inappropriate comments from private sex groups over there. Weird. God, get a life. Here we go. Sean Perry. What is up, player? Sound Serpents in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. By the way, Lily is hella Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Lindsay, I thought Jamie was you for some reason. I'm so sorry. I don't know who Jamie is then. Lindsay, what's up? This is my girl right here. Pico Python's in the building. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it so much. Serpent, Eclipse, Reptiles, my dog right here. Adler, Ad Dizzle for Shizzle. This guy, like I said, has started a really cool series on Instagram. Go check him out. Don't sleep on my boy. And that's my dog. Appreciate it. Last but not least, we'll go with Bosco. What's up, Bosco? Happy holidays to you too, man. Have a great holiday. Hope everyone has a great holiday. But yeah, thank you. Everyone is tapping in. 40 plus people in the building already. You guys are in the right place. Because like I said, this is a long overdue podcast. Big supporters of mine. I've been big supporters of theirs. So there's a lot to talk about tonight as far as the support system we have for each other, man. Because I'm big fan of what they have been going on, and Bill Stiegel being a big push on Focus Cube, which made me want to push them so hard, just brings everything to light on why tonight's going to be such an awesome podcast. So what you guys need to do is do what you got to do to stay hydrated. Get your water together. Get something to get your mind right. But either way, strap up. It's going to get hot. It's going to get heavy. Because like I said, we're holding for what reason? For the geckos, baby. And tonight we have Steven and Ashley, Method Noir. I hope I said that right. God damn it. Method Noir Exotics and Focus Cube Habitats coming right at you right now. Choo!
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it.
And we're live. Steven, Ashley, howdy. Howdy.
Yeah, you got it.
You got it. Howdy.
What's up, guys? My fam right here.
We're just hanging out.
Dude, I'm like with enclosure builder superstars with right now. Like, and here's the thing. I feel like you guys are doing so much amazing stuff, and consider me wrong, and I want to know, but you guys are going so hard with the caging. Like, are how many people out there know about your gecko business? Or is that something that a lot of people do know you guys fuck with geckos? Or is that like something where it's slowly starting to become more noticeable? I'm just curious, or if I've been hiding under a rock this whole time.
Well, the geckos is a very fun story because the geckos are actually the reason for everything.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the reason Focus is around. It's the reason we are here. It is all about the geckos. So I know that they don't get a whole lot of attention, but they came first. Number one.
Which I'm so glad we get to talk about, because we all have that connection with reptiles, and I think people should know that you two didn't just come from a place of being craftsmen and women. You guys are just like, you guys are into the reptiles. You guys are actually putting thoughts of what you've experienced keeping reptiles into what's happening now. And I got to say, I mentioned earlier, I kind of spilled the beans that you have a heavy hitter in the arboreal game that's going to be putting an order in with you guys here soon. And we were talking about how awesome the ventilation game is in your guys' enclosures, like the whole break, like so many different methods that you guys are creating to make life better for this reptile inside these I guess you could say boxes, because that's what they are, but it's just next level with the kind of thought process you guys are putting inside your guys' enclosures.
Well, ventilation is it might be the most important part of an enclosure. A lot of people are worried about different kind of, heating elements and basking spots. And I understand you got to have those things correct, but at the same time, you got to have fresh air in there. I mean, you got to have air that moves. It's got to come in, it's got to go out, and you have to sterilize it. So ventilation in enclosures has been passive for forever. So basically, either you have like a little, 2-inch soffit vent in the back, or you've got some slots cut in it, and that stuff's all fixed. You can't account for everybody's situation. Everybody's ambient humidity is different. Their heating cycles are different. Humidity cycles are different. And you're just trying to guess with just slots cut in the back of it, which is okay. But it's not the best. So if you've got a customer like, down here, so like our conditions are way different than somebody way up in the Northeast. So it's hard to make one box that just is static and does everything perfect everywhere. So you've got to have, we're kind of leaning more towards automation to have a computer and an electronic device kind of manage that stuff for you. So that's, I think, where the future of this stuff's going to go. It's going to require monitoring equipment in sort of like active, I guess, ventilation. So you can't just guess.
Yeah, at some point, maybe, I do know one thing I do want to make sure we talk about tonight is, the stuff I saw you guys drop off at Bill's house, all that amazing prototype stuff. How much of that is out yet? Is all that stuff out yet or not yet?
Oh, well, his is all very specialized. So his is like all of his 2-foot sliding enclosures and his 3-foot sliding enclosures. They feature fans that we've not like introduced to the public yet. So poor Bill. We usually, when he asks for stuff, I give him kind of what he wants, and then I put my own spin on it, and I have him kind of test it and work with it. So,
dude, Bill's your guy, man. I mean, if you want, that's another great thing. Texas always got Texas back, but Bill Siegel, right? Like that. I don't think of anyone else best you could have met who would be willing to not only like, all right, shoot me your ideas, but like he works with stuff to where if it works with these species, any reptile could be alive in these things. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I thought that right there was kind of meant to be you guys kind of linking it with Bill Stiegel. Can you guys remind me real quick the story of you guys meeting Bill? I don't know I think I asked this, but I can't recall. But for anyone out there wondering, how did Bill even link up with Focus Cube? How did that happen?
That was actually we was very much in the beginning of, Focus becoming anything. And we were still trying to get our feet under us, which is kind of the entire story, is always trying to get our feet under us.
Amen.
But we had just developed the Matrix, which is the 13 by 12 by 12 for like neonates and stuff.
Right.
Tiny.
Yeah,
little bitty guy.
Teensy box.
Yeah, I remember that.
And do you know why it's called the Matrix?
No, please tell me.
So you put neonates in it, and Neo went to the Matrix.
Oh, geez.
Oh my goodness. I'm super corny. I love corny.
I mean, I was wondering, like, was it because it's futuristic? Like, I get that, but like, I get
that's half the fun in naming enclosures.
Yeah.
People have no idea where they come from, and it's usually not what you think. So every time somebody buys something and I see the name, I have to laugh because they just have no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, but kudos to you. You know what I mean? Because all that kind of stuff sticks. But listen, I do want to kind of get to before, I kind of got ahead of ourselves here with which I said I want to cover Focus Cube, but obviously there was something that created there was some sort of motivation and experience happening prior to Focus Cube, which made Focus Cube. And that's what I want to hear. I want to know, obviously, first and foremost, you guys are like high school sweethearts, right? Like you guys go back pretty far, don't you? Or not quite high school.
Well,
oh no, it was before
kindergarten. Well, not really, but he's got a funny story about that.
Yeah,
tell me. I gotta hear this. This is crazy. I love it.
Well, down in the area of Texas where we both grew up, there was two things happening at once. Like my family, like immigrated to this country in the state of Texas back in I think it was like the 1840s. So they've been in Texas in the same area since the 1840s. And of course, as time goes on, more and more, development happens. And in my family, we were living on kind of like the last piece of green ground left in the area where we lived. And across the street from the farm that I grew up on was a neighborhood. And that neighborhood is actually where Ashley grew up. So there was a common school that we both went to. So we both went to Old Lim Elementary, and pretty much her last name was Hartman. My last name was Haude. So we always ended up sitting behind each other from elementary school, middle school, and high school, just because of where we happened to live across from each other. We really didn't know each other, but I always sat behind her, and she's been super weird forever. And I can tell you this.
I love it.
Because in elementary school, I remember the weird girl was behind the school and she was holding a frog. And I walked around the corner and she was holding the frog and it just started peeing. And she was so excited. I said, this is the grossest person on planet Earth. And then however many years ago, we, after college and stuff, we met through a mutual friend, and then we ended up, getting married, and here we are. So yeah, the peeing frog girl. I'm like, that chick is nasty. What is going on here?
Dude, that is nuts. I mean,
it's weird.
It's for real, too.
Super weird.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about coming up in a small, Texas is a big state, but also there's a lot of small towns and within populations within Texas, you know what I mean? So, when you kind of have that childhood growing up and stuff like that, you just never know who you might end up with. But that kind of connection, I remember seeing a girl like that, like just a girl that was like, dude, this isn't really girl behavior, but I do respect how tomboyish you are right now. Like I remember those girls in elementary school, and they were always the most badass girls around for sure. So that's awesome. I think that's great.
Well, yeah, it's worked out. So
okay,
thumbs up.
Stop getting weird, Bill. Bill thinks you have some sort of feet fetish now. Jesus.
Bill might know too much about me at this point.
Yeah. So, let's speed things up, obviously, because you guys kind of became an item around after high school, right? So college, around college.
Yeah, so after college.
Yeah. So we used to ride sport bikes, and we had a group of friends that also rode, and we kind of met up once, and we want to go essentially ride together, and that's how we met each other again. So technically motorcycles after the peeing frog.
Motorsports.
Yes.
Always.
Dude, it's crazy because I mean, Steven, I love you. I mean, I met you, you're awesome, but there's so much I have in common with Ashley, like on a guy level. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, cause we race motocross together. Like, we also just the whole, her racing cars and shit. Like she was sending me all these crazy fucking YouTube videos of her drifting in whips and then the jet skis. And I'm like, dude, what, you're fucking rad. What does Steven do? And I'm like, you're just like the fucking goddamn wizard of creating all these goddamn amazing enclosures. So it's like, it's the dynamic here is no. And by the way Ashley could just lift something, goddamn, what the fuck?
Yeah, I got these big muscles.
She's straight, bro. I've never seen anyone just kind of just manhandle enclosures the way Ashley can. It's like you're almost pretty much in her way if you're not going to have any kind of strength like she is. Like just let her do it.
Yeah.
Steven knows. It's definitely I'm very much a squirrel. So if you are in my way, you better move.
So at what, I want to know the level of reptile keeping you guys both were at. You guys were meeting each other. You guys have some similarities. Were you guys keeping reptiles at that time that kind of made you guys be interested on that end of the spectrum or whatnot?
So I've been keeping reptiles since I was the girl with the peeing toad. Right. I've been keeping reptiles basically since the mid 90s. I had the opportunity, and one of the things that you talked about earlier was the connection. And it's like, why have we all gotten into reptiles? Why is that? And I have a theory that I think it is, as kids, dinosaurs, of course. You see our sweaters here. But I think one of the things is the dinosaurs, and the other thing is that reptiles are so honest. So something about kids is they don't really, the world to them is very black and white.
Right.
And the way reptiles act is very black and white. They let you know when they don't want to be messed with, or they're hungry, or, they have to go to the bathroom or whatever. They're just going to do it. Right. And I think that's something that's kids kind of have that. They're very, I guess, selfish, not in the negative sense, but I think reptiles and kids kind of, they match,
Right.
And one of the things, like when I was a kid, is my parents went through a lot of tough time, like a lot of people. And I kind of drew into myself, and animals were basically my outlet. Animals and machines, which is, basically reptiles and motorsports. It
I can
continues.
relate to that for sure.
So a lot of the stuff that was, I was bullied and everything as a kid. So I felt like if I was, I hung out with reptiles because they weren't going to judge me, right?
Mhm.
So that continued out through, and of course, my parents were super awesome about it. They got me 2 iguanas after I studied for a year to make sure that I could take care of them. And that was like 1994, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Well, no, probably like in the later 90s. Iguanas, right? The typical 90s pet. So I was a super young kid, and they just basically said, you learn how to figure out how to take care of them, and you take care of them. And of course they monetarily helped me because I was a kid, but they gave me basically carte blanche. It was, just me. So I had to take care of them. I had to do everything. So that taught me at a really young age to be responsible for something else that was living. And so, long story short, went to high school and grade school and everything, and Steven was around, and I was definitely the kid with the braces. And since he was always behind me, he would, pick on me and make fun of me. And then in, what was it, middle school, you had a locker above mine?
It was high school.
Oh, high school. Okay. I can't remember. I was the super nerd, and still am the super nerd. I had a backpack that was full of freaking books, full of books. It weighed like 50 pounds. You see why I can pick stuff up. I was a kid walking around with a big, like 50-pound backpack. So I was an easy target for being made fun of. But I would come to my locker and, put it up. And anytime Steven was there, the first day that I got braces, this mofo right here was there, and he's like, metal mouth, metal mouth. Yeah, so that was high school.
Steven's like, yep, I recall that. I was
Yes, you were still weird in high school.
I'm a super easy target for being weird, but I own it now. Like, I love being weird. It's great.
Yeah,
but,
it's gone back to get me.
Yeah, no, it's karma's a bitch.
Yeah.
I will say though, guys, I think anything that's like any relationship out there that lasts a long time needs to have that relatability to weirdness that you guys both have to have. And like, here's the thing, I'm a lot more weirder than my wife, and my wife is weird too, but like I when you're with somebody for so long, you just either you appreciate it and you understand that everyone's weird and everyone has some sort of weirdness. Like, I don't give a fuck how cool you try to act or whatever. When nobody's watching you, you're weird. People are weird. Okay.
Weird.
So dude, when you can share a weirdness with somebody and they love you for it, that's what people need to go seek in their life, in their love life. If they don't have it yet, go find somebody to go be weird with. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, if you're worried about being self-conscious around somebody you have to live with, it's going to be a long life. You know what I mean?
Like, mind you, everything's, you got to work with steps. You can't just there's different levels of weird, right? And my wife did what she did to keep me attracted to her, mind you, right? So just understand that there's different level of weirdness. Like, if you have a Bill Stiegel fetish about getting peed on your chest or something, then
yeah, well,
that's cool, but if you're not into that and they're into it, that's not maybe something you might want to pursue. So,
you're not meshing on that.
It has to mesh. Okay, but perfect. Okay, I'm curious, guys. You guys seem like you guys are just very like there's a plan with you guys, and what I mean by that is as far back as you two go, and Ashley always keeping animals and whatnot. What was going on in your guys' life? Was it just school? Was it work? What were you guys doing to kind of just like before the reptiles and the LLC and the actual focus cube? Like, what were you guys doing to provide for each other back then?
Motorsports.
Okay, cool.
It literally, yeah.
Well, that was like a fun thing we shared in common. So it was, all the drift car stuff. So, I'd work on it.
He did as much as I did. He just is not the media person.
I don't like to look at me. I don't have cameras faced. There's no almost zero record of me existing. And I'm like, that's perfect,
Right.
But yeah, we did the car stuff. We did the motorcycle stuff. That's actually how I remember when we were at Bill's place, we were showing each other our collarbone scars. Because I remember we were at a motocross track, Yeah, you got that one. I don't know if this is visible or not. But yeah.
Show it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm an idiot, so I have to buy the biggest, loudest of everything. So I bought a 450R, a Honda CRF 450R. We're at the motocross track, and I remember Ashley had pulled off to the side. Where were you on, like an old 125 or something?
Yeah, Sprinkler. Yeah, it was a 125 CR 125.
Nice.
So,
I bet that thing's
she's watching me ride, and there's this like little camelback, and I'm gonna hit it. I come around a berm, and I'm just pinned, and I'm gonna launch it. And as sure as I get to the top of it, this thing swaps. And I end up just smack my head on the ground. Ooh. I guess my helmet hit my collarbone and it popped my collarbone and I was gone. The next thing I remember, I woke up in the hospital and I had anterograde amnesia. There's like, you can see blood pooling underneath my collarbone and it's literally like that.
Oh,
his shoulder was like down way.
It was like this. It was like this.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, apparently, when it happened, I had woken up and I was trying to talk to her and I was like asking questions. Man. I had no memory of it. I whacked myself so hard. So,
dude,
we liked motorsports, so we did the dirt bike stuff, and just the friendship kind of grows from there.
Well, yeah, and then so he was going to school or finishing college, and I actually worked for a landscape company. It was actually a friend of ours, and I worked there for like a year as we were trying to, we got our apartment and we started living together, and he was finishing up school and I was working for the landscape
stuff. Sugar mama was working in the fields and I was, going to school.
Yeah, so literally we were putting up fences and laying sod, and I mean that.
And then when I wasn't at school, we were both on the landscape truck together. I was sitting in the bed, I was being kind.
He was dying in the Texas heat or cold.
Yeah, dude. I die. Shit, I don't think I've been in real Texas heat because every time I go to Texas, I just miss it. I go, Arlington in September, you just miss it, and then I go in February where it's perfect. February in Texas, I think is perfect. I love that shit. But I think September is perfect too in Texas as well.
Yeah.
But I do know. I mean, even when I lived in Texas, I lived there long enough where I just had missed the heat front. And I got to tell you right now, I know that the fucking 100+ degree weather in Texas, it's just dry. It's just completely dry. And it's really, you're getting cooked basically out there. I don't know how anyone could do that shit. That's nuts.
Oh yeah. I remember one time, the guy who owned the landscape company, he was driving the truck. Ashley was in the truck and I was sitting in the bed. And the bed is just a black rhino lined bed. And I got so hot, I thought it was a good idea to take the ice water from the ice chest and dump it on my head. And when I did that, I basically kind of blacked out and I couldn't see. So I just kind of sat there in the truck bed trying not to pass out. So that's essentially how hot it gets. Yeah.
So because of the completely, like, the temperature drop that you were going through was like too much, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, your body went into shock basically.
For sure. Yeah. It's like 100-something degrees outside and you dump ice water, which is, 32 degrees on your head. I almost went to sleep in the bed of a truck going down the freeway. So I don't recommend that. If you're hot, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Maybe drink some water. Don't put it on your body.
Yeah, saunas and ice baths are good, but not when,
not that kind.
Yeah, not like that.
So that's some of the stuff. Yeah, we used to mow grass together. What did we do after that? Oh, we got real jobs.
Yes. Yeah. So you got that's why I say motorsports is he got you can.
That was I actually got hired out of college. I graduated college, with my 4.0 GPA, summa cum laude from a university in Huntsville, Texas. So apparently I'm real smart. Yeah, I got a piece of paper that says I'm a genius. So
yay.
In a closet somewhere. I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
I got, I was like, I don't know what to do. So I applied to a motorcycle dealership and it said finance manager. And I'm like, that looks pretty cool. I'll try that. And of course, I showed up to a motorcycle dealership wearing a suit. So I automatically applied. I could get any job I wanted there. The general manager was like, this is incredible. He's like, I love the suit. This is great. Never wear it again. This is a motorcycle dealership and you're hired. So
this is a one-time thing. Don't ever do this again.
I've never worn it again. It's in the closet. It's never been touched or looked at again. It's in its little zipper thing.
Oh my God.
So I got hired at a motorcycle dealership to be the finance guy, which I'm so stupid. I was like, well, I'm going to take care of the books of the company. And that wasn't it at all. I was basically the guy who was like trying to get people approved for loans and trying to sell back-end products. And so, like, you ever been to a car dealer and you bought a car, when you go do all your paperwork, I'm that guy. So I became that dude. So I was everybody's favorite guy right away.
Hey, guy. Hey, it's you.
Hey. Yeah, so that's what I did. So, and that's not a good thing because I had access to the honey hole. So I worked at a motorcycle dealership which sold motorcycles, ATVs, side by sides, and watercraft, and I could buy all the stuff it cost, and I could do my own everything. So it was a very expensive job to have. I went totally bananas. So we went crazy. But yeah, she worked at a car dealership, so that was at the same time we both worked at, auto dealers essentially.
Yeah, after the whole landscaping thing, I was a photographer, which is kind of what I went to school for. Is I was a photographer for a Porsche dealership, and I got to drive all the cool cars, and it was cool. But Ferraris and stuff and Lamborghinis, and trying to figure out like how to get them out of the showroom, and everybody's like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm the photographer. Just let me go do this, please. So that was always fun. And then from that I was getting paid like $5 a car. You know how many cars you have to do to I drove 45 minutes because of course Texas, Houston, everything is so freaking far away.
Yeah.
So I was doing that and it didn't really work out so great. Bucks a car. And of course the Porsche dealership had like 3 cars at a time. And they're like, "Oh, you need to come today because they're out of make ready and everything." And anyway, so actually his sister had worked at an Infiniti dealership, and she's like, "Hey, you work with the dealerships, you like cars and stuff, like why don't you just apply here?" And so I got an actual real resume together, and I went and interviewed, and they're like, "Yeah, you take the interview, not interview, but like the entry test, everything." And they're like, "Okay, well, we'll hire you as the photographer." Well, it turned out that I was the glorified porter. So I graduated college for like photography and stuff, and I was actually just the porter that had to carry around the camera too. So
Wow.
yeah, that was really
glorified
fun.
car parker.
Yeah, but I did get to drive lots of cool cars, and I'm definitely, one of those purists that manual is the only thing to drive. So a lot of the porters couldn't drive manual, so I was the one that got to play with all the really fun cars. So it was a great thing. I was at for a couple years, and then I got into parts, and so that was fun. So kind of like a boring story there, but yeah. So we were both in car dealerships.
I don't know about you guys. I mean, 'cause here's the thing. I didn't grow up with money, even though I had everything I needed as a kid. I was very spoiled, and my dad did everything he did. My mom did everything they did to take care of me, and I'm very blessed. But we were always middle class, right? But I do know there were times as a kid, and even throughout life, when I was around some upper class, whoa, what is driving the cars you're driving, right? But dude, I've always thought this, if you ever, even as a kid, even though I knew, okay, my dad can never attain something like this, I thought I can. I was like, well, dude, someday this could be me. And I always kind of lived through people. And as a kid, even people in Supercross and WWF, things I glorified, I kind of just told myself I'm going to be that someday, and it just gave me an excitement or something to believe in. But even now, for instance, when I go, the last thing I kind of I soaked in, and you and I kind of got to talk a little bit about this actually, is when I went to go visit Justin, and when I went to the motorsport racetrack. Dude, that I've never been around that kind of type of activity before, but obviously that's a big dollar hobby. Are you kidding me? How many people have hobbies like that? You know what I mean? It's and I had the full on fucking full show. It was nuts. We had our own cars ready for us. We were in a goddamn I don't know, fucking 30-foot trailer. It was just nuts. But I just knew holy shit, this is this could be life. You never know where life could take you. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you ever kind of told yourself back when you were driving those cars, Ashley, if you're I'm going to get stuff like this someday, or I don't know. Did you ever kind of pump yourself up back when you were driving around stuff like that? That you knew that was you knew you were doing something special?
Well, yes, actually, that's an interesting, but it wasn't dealing with cars. It was actually dealing with the stand-ups, the jet skis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's really what I wanted to hang my hat on, to be honest. I have another YouTube channel that's the Chicks Life YouTube channel, and that was actually kind of I got into it, both of us got into it, and it was something that was so difficult that it just drove me crazy. I had to learn it. And because it was so difficult that I wanted to start teaching others, because I'm this literally changed my life. This was kind of after the cars and stuff, and we were working in the dealerships for a while, and actually a coworker of his was a lifelong stand-up jet ski guy. So we got into those, and like that took over. Like I would work out 2 times a day. We'd go and ride after work at the local. It was like at a motocross track. We had a private like jet ski lake so we would race. I wanted to get in the freestyle and stuff. And then in 2018 is when I actually had this huge surgery that totally changed the direction of everything. And while it's something that I don't know, it's one of those things that keeps me up at night, but also creates the reality that is today. So I don't regret it one bit, but it also is one of those things is like, what could have been, you know? So the motorsports and stuff and seeing that and, you know, the stand-ups and what life could have been was so different, you know, in 2017, 2018 than it is now, like what I was envisioning. So yes, it's definitely life throws you all kinds of curveballs there.
Yeah, you know, but I mean, I bet you feel very happy in the position you are now. You know what I mean? I mean,
Oh, hell yeah.
We haven't even tapped into a little bit of where you guys are at right now, which we are obviously leading to that, but still, like, I mean, here's the thing, like a lot of my dreams of what I wanted to be, like either if it was a professional motocross rider or a professional baseball player, I never got that good where I could actually make that a dream come true. You know, I saw actual finishes. I've seen you that good. Like I saw you were at that compete level, you know what I mean? And it's tough, man. It's really tough, you know, and this is why, like, I look at people that are, no matter what it is that we love, like whatever profession we love, look at the best at the people who are the best at that. Dude, that's life. Like life just gave it like that. That's when where people need to realize that, like, fuck, like no one's ever destined to do one thing. Life could throw you something where you're like, holy shit, I do this now. But as long as it serves you a purpose. And one thing we're getting into is the purpose of behind the legacy. Like I could tell Ashley, you're all about a legacy, man. I feel like whatever it is that you want to touch, you want to stamp something. Like you want people to know Ashley fucking Haude just touched this shit. You know what I mean? And same with you, Steven. And I feel like that's what Focus is doing. But that competitiveness isn't within everybody, Ashley. Not everyone has that type of shit in them. And that's why people who race, people who are like, that's why I don't look at competitiveness as a bad thing. These are that's a fucking drive. People can't even drive themselves to get out of bed sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I seen how you both work, mainly Ashley. I seen how you guys put in hours behind a vehicle, get to where you're at, and then here she is just unloading fucking shit like it's nothing. You know what I mean? And man, I gotta say, one thing I was happy to be a part of at Arlington was seeing you guys enjoy yourself a little bit. That was cool. That was cool. Like, cause you know, remember we were all hanging out at Bill's, you know, playing fucking what was that damn bean sack fucking thing?
Oh, cornhole, bro.
Cornhole, right.
Bean sack, I like that.
You know, we're just having some brews and just looking around like, man, what a good time. Like, we're just chilling. Like, you know, like you guys aren't like, you know, you seem like Ashley seemed a little out of place. It looked like you had to be doing something. It almost seemed like, because you're just naturally built like that, I'm assuming, right?
I have to always be doing, well, just like everybody, I'm a typical human. Is like, I've got some demons that I don't want to, you know, if I stop, then they start coming in. And that's the thing is you want to kind of keep stuff moving forward, because if you, like you said, if people can't get out of the bed, they're letting those demons in, and you can't do that. Everybody has them. I mean, we're all human. Right. So it's the kind of drive, that's the motorsports, that's the, you know, the reptiles and everything is like jumping in literally head first. Is you have to have a belief, because there is nothing else. There's no floor underneath of you, you know. So relaxing is kind of one of those things that's pretty difficult, but it's when you're around people that you know, enjoy to be around. It's Bill's place was really fun.
Well, Bill's was fun, and it was very anxiety inducing because I remember we were in his facility and everybody's out by the pool, everybody's drinking, having a good time, you know, food's coming. And we were in there unwrapping. We have video of us unwrapping stuff.
Just by ourselves.
We were wiping down glass from the enclosures we brought him. We actually rearranged one of his rooms to make our stuff look awesome in the corner. And we had all the lights and everything. So when we knew everybody was going to come in there later, we had a mood set. Everything was lit a certain way. And I'm like, what are we doing in here? It's just the two of us in the dark, so we don't catch anybody's attention, because we're not supposed to be in here. We're supposed to be socializing. We're over there. I'm polishing
you gotta work,
glass, man, like a psycho.
Yeah, but I mean, but that's your guys's. This is me going back to, like, it's your guys' work. You guys, I can tell you right now how pissed any of you would be if you reveal it and there's a smudge or there's something that you could have cleaned. Like, you just want it to be perfect. And God damn it, why not when you drove that far? You know what I mean? So it all worked out. Like I said, we had moments in Bill's backyard where there was no working involved. We were just chilling, drinking. Dude, I want to fucking hug you two right now. The best brisket I've had in Texas since because dude, I give Bill, Patrick, almost any Texan who brought me barbecue Texas has not come through. I'm sorry, it just has not hit. But I had your guys' brisket at Bill's. It was like I was getting I got flashbacks from when I lived in Longview, and I went to I had this barbecue place when I lived in Longview, Texas, that I would go to twice a day. That's why I got 260. I was a big boy. Okay? But I ate there twice a day because how bomb it was. Your guys' brisket is the closest, if not, I can't say it reminded me of that brisket. It really did. And I was so happy, and I ate so much of it. It was so delicious. I gotta say, dude, that shit, you guys had that shit down, like Charlie Brown down. You feel me? That shit was so bomb. I just gotta say, congrats on how sick you guys are at cooking something like that.
That's another OCD thing. It takes 18 hours of diligence. I'm like, one of the largest parts of that is really just temperature management. I mean, everybody gets in a hurry, they cook a little hot, like, let's get it done, let's get it out of there. And I'm like, it takes 18 hours and you have to pay attention for a day straight. You're constantly looking at that temp out there.
That little beautiful
It can't
meteor.
rise, it can't fall, it takes forever. So it's like you can really appreciate stuff that's OCD. It tastes good, it looks good. There's some kind of magic that comes when you're like overly paying attention to every detail. It seems to be details matter in everything you do in life.
And
the
being
more
present.
you can focus on those things, the better it gets.
You're basically defining your Focus Cube company right now.
That's
No,
why
exactly,
it's named
yeah.
Focus. We tried to figure out what to name it. And I'm like, what's it going to take? I'm like, we have to focus everything we do, our time, our attention, our whole life has to be literally focused around it. Any kind of extra spending, it has to go towards it. I'm like, it's all focus. And I was like, well, what else do you call it? And I'm like, it's a box. And I'm like, cubed.
Cube.
We're going to name it Focus Cubed. And I went to immediately, we tried to
We're
get
gonna
register the business name. And apparently there's a company in Japan that is a consulting company named Focus Cubed. So we had to become Focus Cubed Habitats. That was the only way we could register the name.
Yep.
So some Japanese dudes beat me to it, but
I think it all goes good together. You know what I mean? Because the cube is the habitat. Like it connects the dots. Any dots that need to be connected is connected with habitats.
And that's what's fun is like everything's kind of thought about when you're talking the names of enclosures. I'm like, I don't just pull a name out of a hat. It's like we think about it, we talk about it. Like even the newest model that we had, I don't know if it was that Heretic model. It's that one self-contained bio enclosure. And I'm like, the name of it comes from somewhere. So it's you got to think hard about everything that you do because all the tiny things matter. And it's funny, people notice, like they can tell you that they like something, but they don't know why. And I'm like, I know why. It's because all those little details mesh up. So it's
Intention.
Yeah, you have to be intentional.
Yep.
And attention to detail is everything. You know what I mean? And when you have that obsessively the way you guys do, like, I'm sure you guys probably look at something or probably like, I mean, I don't know. Are you the two that probably are never satisfied with certain work? You guys, even though like, you guys, it's good, but you guys are like, I don't know. And then like it rolls out and then it's a hit. Has any of that kind of happened to you guys yet? Like
I immediately hate everything I make. As soon as it's done, I step back and
He's not exaggerating.
Wow, I can fix this in 8 different ways. So it's really
dude, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, that must be so like head storage consuming to just like never like, nope, sorry. We got to do this over, or like, you know what I mean? Or like
a lot of it is like, it is funny. He's not exaggerating. Like we'll wake up in the middle of the night and we're thinking about enclosures. We're thinking about the animals. We're thinking about stuff. And that is just because there's no such thing as perfection, but the drive to get there is what it's all about. It's like I said, the intention, and it's being present and paying attention to everything that's going on. And never settling. That's another thing is you have good, but you oh, I have to do better. Do better. There's one of the things when I'm having a bad day, or I just want to, I'm so mad at something and I'm like, do better. That's it.
Right,
That's
right.
do better. Nobody cares. Do better. Nobody cares.
That's
you just
it.
keep going.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Because listen, at the end of the day, everything stops when you stop. Like when you stop, everything else stops. And what I mean by that, when you see something, you go, "Oh, I could fix that," or "I could maybe do that better," and you don't do it. Because that right there is kind of like not going to the gym or not working out. Once you don't go to the gym once, then next day, no big deal. The day after that, I don't give a fuck. Next thing you know, it's a week. Next thing you know, it's 2 weeks. Next thing you know, you don't even use your membership. That's how that shit works.
Yep.
So I don't know why. Like, here's the thing, guys. I always talk about how hard work was, like, I was always trying to outsmart hard work, no matter what it was. Even, dude, when it came to workouts and sports I was really good at, I always found a way to, like, try to outsmart the hard work. And that right there kind of catches up to you, because when you avoid doing stuff you don't want to do, that's when you don't grow. Like you have to continuously do something that you are like not trying to do, but you need to do it. And that's working out. That's waking up to do the water dishes. That's like everything. Like here's the thing. The reptiles is the one thing where like it's these kind of chores is so therapeutic. It's like, I look forward, like I feel like, oh, sorry, babe, got to do waters. And I'm like, yeah. You know what I mean? And some people are like dragging their feet like, fuck, I don't want to change these waters, man. Fuck these goddamn geckos, or fuck these snakes, and like I can never live like that. Like this is the first thing that I ever came into my life where my engines are just like until everything's perfect in this room, in that room, then I can maybe think about fucking off. But no, because how hard I go on the podcast. But fucking off is something you need to earn. Like, and like I said, it was cool to see you guys fucking off with me at Bill's backyard for that small moment, because you guys don't fuck off ever. You guys. So, and I just felt like people like you deserve time to fuck off like that. You know what I mean? And it's just a sense of hanging out. That's what I mean. But I'm saying it just never stops. Like when you're in this position that we're both in a sense, we just don't stop, because once we stop, everything else stops, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's
I
a
couldn't have said
wrap.
it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly how it is. There's no easy road. There's no easy button.
Never going to be easy.
And it's never going to be easy. But that's the point. Like life is not supposed to be easy. As I keep talking about, we're all human. I'm like, we're supposed to be goal driven. We're supposed to strive to do better. We're supposed to do that. And when we don't, when we give up, when we stop, that's when we start having the problems. But if you keep moving, and I admit nothing is life is not easy. Everybody understands that. And it's not, like I said, supposed to be easy. But when you go and you focus on something like the animals or something like that, it does quiet the mind. Like the geckos are the first thing that I start in the morning. And I like to listen to podcasts and stuff when I'm working with the enclosures. But when I'm in my gecko room, it's silent. That is, I get up, I get my coffee, and I go to the gecko room every single day.
Yeah.
And it's quiet. And that's why I think a lot of people like you and us were drawn to the reptiles, is because they are quiet, like for the most part. I mean, the monitors, you can kind of, they're the
loud ones.
Yeah, Jack, he'll go down up from his upstairs and fall, and it sounds like the house is crashing down. But geckos and snakes for the most part are quite quiet, and it's kind of it's the therapeutic part. After the crazy day, it's how you start, and it's how you get your mind right. At least that's how I am. So a lot of people, they'll go in there and do their thing, and that's the therapy, like you said.
It took years for my wife to graduate to this point in the reptile keeping respect level that we're at. And what I mean by that is even she like there's times where, I mean, God forbid, she's married to me. So there's times where she needs to talk to me, or like, she's like, like times where she could come in hot and heavy, but she knows when she walks into any snake room, like first and foremost, you don't know what I have out, right? Like you don't know if there's something that I'm working, but she knows that like that's a quiet, like even if there's music playing, there's no crazy motions in there. It's very chill. You know what I mean? Because no matter what snake I have out, no matter what lizards are out, monitors, right? So God bless my wife. Like she comes in now. First, she doesn't need a knock, but she'll come in and just like let me know, like if there is something to talk about, give me the heads up, versus just barging in and being like, hey, listen, we got to talk. You know what I mean? And only because she knows the reason why I'm so calm is because it's about the reptiles. My mind is elsewhere. Like I'm kind of like when it comes to that, this is why I love what we do, because I do stress out a lot. I do try to control things that I wish I can control, and I can't. So I do what I gotta do, and I worry about what I can control. I can control my waters. I can control spraying. I can control pairing. And if I can control something that helps me with what I love, then I'm in a good place. So that's what I'm saying. We all need that good place to fucking resort to, you know? And I don't think of anything else, guys, but the animals when I'm with the animals. Like, you know, it's like a shut off. It's like a switch. It's crazy. I could be ready to throw up. I'm so stressed out. And I come and start working with animals, especially with music. I'm a big music guy. So once the music and the animals start coming hand in hand, I'm good for like 3 hours. You know what I mean? But that's why without this, guys, I don't know where I would be, man. I'm still a huge work in progress. You guys see me grow throughout the last couple of years, but it's just, I wouldn't be where I'm at without these animals. And I know you guys feel the same.
Yep. Yeah. It's the rooms are like an extension of kind of your mental space.
Right.
And a lot of times when you often on your podcast talk about people who have the 9 to 5 and then they want to get into reptile breeding, and it takes a certain type of person though.
Right.
And we can get into it, but it's really frightening going out on your own. But it's also, if it's something that you're really passionate about, using that word, is you will make it happen whatever. It will happen, because it becomes your life. That, like, our animals, the enclosures, everything, it is life. That's it. And I think give that up.
I think what it is, Ashley and Steven, I think sometimes when I talk to certain people who have a solid 9 to 5, even though most of them hate it, but when some people have that solid 9 to 5, I try to tell them, like, dude, what if you did the breeding thing as a full time? And they think I'm only really talking about breeding. But what that means is, like, focus on just the breeding, which equals other opportunities, right? Like you guys started dabbling into the damn caging world of things, which is the most needed thing in the hobby, is the enclosures, right? But think about how many rodent businesses still are needed out there. Think about how many, like, accessory companies, whatever, like, there's a niche in all this shit. Like, there's something that you could provide for this goddamn industry if you put your mind to it. You know, just even like, that's why at the end of the day, I do this full time. But this podcast, the reason why I do 4 episodes a week is because this is like my reasoning behind why I could do reptiles full time. And also, there is a time and place where I wouldn't want to have I'm sure even if you had 500 reptiles or whatever, there's only so much you could do throughout the week without having dead time. And I don't want dead time. I had a taste of having like nothing to do, and that shit sucks. Like, I always wanted that. What's crazy, as a kid, I always dreamed, like, when I would call in sick, or like, when I would make my mom not let me go to school, and I just would be home. I thought, man, what a dream this would be, to just be home and just chill all the time.
Exactly.
No, dude,
yeah.
when I got injured, so basically when I got injured, I had a taste of that, and after 2 months, I started going crazy. I was like, I was like, I can't. I was like, it was luxurious. Okay. But when the fucking goddamn Oxycontin and the fucking, all the, it was like, dude, this is reality. This sucks. You know what I mean? And God bless injuries, because I learned to not like painkillers after my knee surgery. Like, I went from liking them to like,
give you a high five through the thing. I have a fun story about that.
Dude, yeah, we'll get into that right now. But I'm just saying, like, there's so many tragic things that could happen to you to make you live a different style of life. That's what the animals did for me. And I do want to say shout out to this super chat. Shout out to the homie Nick, Apex Mutations, because we are kind of branching things on the actual creation of Focus Q habitats, because what he's saying is no lie. You guys have the best arboreal, gecko racks, but I want to say best arboreal caging out there in the company, out there in the industry. But I do kind of want to vert back on when it became a business. Okay, if we could kind of talk about that right now, as far as when it went from you guys doing what you were doing with the landscaping to the card game to the business. Like, how did you guys even consider making the Gecko game the LLC, and even considering doing Focus Cube as the business and doing that full time? I want to know about that.
Okay, so we've gone through all this story of how we were at the dealerships and everything. So when that was solid, good jobs, very good. I worked at Sewell. So Carl Sewell, the guy that owns Sewell dealerships, he actually wrote the book on customer service. Which, if you know about it, it's a super, the whole culture there is great. So I'm like, it was a great job, and I wasn't miserable, but I was miserable because people, you are at other people's whim. And so, like you were talking about, with having downtime and like dealing with other people and them not wanting to strive to do better or have that perfection, you get super, I guess jaded is a really good word. That's for a lot of 9-to-5ers. I think I was definitely
Okay, hey, time out. I'm gonna start admitting when I am kind of being a fucking airhead. I don't know what jaded really means. Can you tell me what jaded means? Being jaded, please.
In my definition, that's great because I'm the one that's terrible at talking. But I would say that my definition of jaded is like being cynical, being
Getting a chip on your shoulder.
yeah, being
basically.
overly like, this all sucks.
Oh, okay, for sure.
Okay, this all.
Okay. I know what that means. Okay.
We're gonna rewrite the dictionary. We're gonna start with jaded.
Jaded. This all sucks.
Okay. Oh, I don't want to say it again. Somebody says, yeah, I come off pretty jaded all the time. That's my good friend. I'm like, what does that mean? But I'm scared to ask him because he's gonna make fun of me, so I don't ask it. So thanks for telling me that, Bill. You know who exactly who I'm talking about, Bill.
Check the shoulder, man.
Check the show. Yeah. So Steven's got my back. That's I don't know why I'm talking so much because I'm terrible at it. But
you're good. You're good.
Anyway, so in the dealerships, and I was just like, it was a great job. We knew that it was consistent. That's the thing about the 9-to-5. And I do not put anybody down because of consistency, especially if you have a family, you have kids, you have everything, to basically go out on your own and do this whole reptile thing or whatever you want to do is being naked in the world. You have no support. Now you build it around you, but like, if you're going to take that leap, you're definitely going off the cliff. So anyway, we're at these, consistent jobs, and we're doing all the motorsport stuff and having fun, but it's something wasn't there. Something wasn't, there was no passion in like the connecting of something. So I've always been interested in the reptiles. I had a couple bearded dragons or whatever. And finally we had the opportunity to buy a house. And the trigger, once we got into this house, was I had 2 tegus. What was it? 2 tegus and 2 bearded dragons in a 530 square foot apartment.
Yeah, we live with them.
Yeah, no, we live with them. Yeah. And so and a cat. And that's the same cat we still have. Yeah.
Yeah. That's enough.
Yeah. So, and this is when Steven really wasn't the reptiles weren't really your thing.
Yeah. Wife's still weird. Has animals in the house. We'd have like guys that have to come and work on the garbage disposal, and they were panicked in the house. They'd see these giant tegus and they would call them vipers, and they would be totally afraid to come in there and fix stuff in our apartment.
We had it was like a 2-foot, like,
I remember
path.
I let one of these stupid tegus out one day, and she was, I don't know where you were. And it was wandering around, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And the thing walked in front of a mirror, looked at itself, puffed up and took a giant shit, and then walked off. So I was at home alone, and that's what I got to do. I let the tegu out one time by myself, and this thing took a gnarly doo-doo on the carpet in our apartment, and I got to clean it while she was, I don't know where.
I got to tell you, there's nothing like the smell of a lizard shit.
It was not, it was, the amount
bad.
Was incredible. The color was incredible. It was an experience. So that was fun. But yeah, so blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. So we finally got the house, and that's when I went, that was in 2017. So the house was, I actually wanted, and this is what I've hinted at before, I wanted to breed ball pythons, like hard fucking core, like for real. Right. I wanted to breed ball pythons. And Steven said, no snakes. No snakes.
So that was the rule. So Steven, you're more comfortable doing geckos or lizards before snakes for sure.
Nope, this is still not in Steven's realm. So he said no snakes. I bought 3 ball pythons.
Yeah, I grew up in a house where if you saw a snake, it was grab the 20 gauge. We were going to take care of it. So
you sick son of a bitch.
Well, that's how I grew up. And that's not like, I was subjected to. It was just like, that's just how it was.
No, you were actually excited probably. You were probably
him though, his parents.
Nah.
Yeah, he was very indifferent on the whole thing.
So that's good for that. But now let me ask you this though. I mean, let's kind of talk about how you just went ahead and just fucking overpowered the decision that Steven told you, and you bought the 3 snakes? Was there a tiff, or was there any kind of a weird energy in the air because of that, Steven?
I had a vision, and yes. No, he says no. It was definitely
No, the reason why, listen, there's a lot of, people out there who are so respectful to their spouses or their significant others' feelings on things, but sometimes they just don't see what you see. And I'm not going to say I got away with a lot of that with my wife, but there were some decisions that just needed to be made regardless what she thought. So I just did them. You like kind of what Ashley did. I just did them. And I want to hear, and dude, trust me, there were some things that did not go well. I graduated from just doing that to my wife now. I don't do that to my wife no more. But I'm just saying, I want to know what went on during that time. I mean, was it from what you recall, Ashley, since Steven might not remember, was this something that kind of drug for a little bit? Did he was pushing to get rid of these snakes, or did you just kind of prove yourself? How'd that happen?
Well, it was one of those things where I got them because, I was the dealership. I was looking at Morph Market constantly, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I wanted to do pied. Of course, that's everybody's story of like ball pythons. And you're like, you were just drawn to the pied. So
pies are bananas. Pies, bananas, like the spider, not spider, but the bumblebee, killer bees, like that shit, like that, pre-wobble and all that shit. That's what knocked my fucking boots off, man, was the goddamn killer bees and the bumblebees and the bananas and the pieds. I would say the pied came after all that stuff, but I mean, yeah, you're not wrong with that at all.
Pied's my number one, man. And then it was Xanthic. So I wanted to do lightning pieds. And back then they were like $3,500 for a lightning pied. And I was like, recessives. I'm like, that is the best thing. So I did so much research and I'm like, I want to do snakes. We're going to do ball pythons. I'm going to figure out incubators and I'm going to have it in this room. And at that point I had the tegus and I had the bearded dragons and I was like, lizards are great. I love lizards, things with legs, but I'm like, I want to get into snakes. I want to do this and I want to make this, start building a business. And guess the business's name. It was
Method.
No. It was your piedness.
Your pie.
See? No, that's great. You're
the song, right?
I need to get an Uncle Roger sample.
I'm super corny. I told you. So your piedness. I wanted to do snakes. I got.
I was skeptical.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, your piedness, and there's 2 pied ball pythons in the.
Yeah,
in the
so he's like, "What is this reptile thing supposed to be?" And understandably, I do not fault Steven in anything that he said. He was actually very, very understanding and very patient with me because I am not great at telling why I want to do something. I just have a vision in my head, and I'm like, "This is what we need. This is what we need," and I can't say why. So I bought these ball pythons, and they were great. I had 2 visual pieds, and I had a head. So we were. That was 2017. And then I also wanted to get into the geckos. So I ended up a buddy of mine back from the RC airplane days. He came over and they had bought a lot of geckos. And also Steven was like, do not buy a gecko. And so we went out to the back porch and they were displaying all their geckos and I bought 2 geckos.
She don't listen.
Yes, 2 geckos. We still, Cheeto is actually the baby gecko that we bought that was actually hatched on our anniversary. Random kind of tidbit there. So ball pythons, a couple geckos. I wanted to make this big breeding business. And then in 2018, I had the surgery that I was talking about. And it, like you, I was stuck for a couple months. I couldn't walk.
Right.
It was a hip surgery, basically, where they like sever your hip from your body and then they screw it back together. And so I was on this walker, and that's when I had downsized because I felt I had the monitors too at that point too. So another big thing was breeding monitors, which I have a really awesome project there that literally probably nobody knows about. But
wait, what kind of monitors?
Water monitors, big ones.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
sick.
So this impending surgery, I was downsizing, and one of the things that Steven has always been super patient with the lizards, but the snakes really weren't a big thing back then. So I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and sell the ball pythons, and I sold some animals to try to reduce because I was going to be off work for several months and not being able to walk, and he was going to have to take care of all the animals. So I wasn't willing to let go of the monitors, but they're actually fairly easy to take care of. But the snakes and having to feed them and everything. So we got rid of the snakes and kept the geckos. And then I had that surgery, and that kind of really changed the trajectory of everything. So with Method Noir, that came around probably mid 2017 when I started with that and started building my collection there. And Cheeto, which was your first gecko, is the one hatched on our anniversary. She was the first one. She's kind of like a pink, which is totally different than what my actual, kind of, I guess, trajectory went. Noir means black in French. So black is basically the business name. And I've always liked, like I said, with the Xanthic, that has been my favorite thing, is dark and monochromatic.
Do you guys want to hear a funny Gary Scavino story?
Oh boy.
Oh yes.
There's not an unfunny Gary Scavino story.
Okay, so listen, at the end of the day, I'm very fond of Gary. Like, Gary is somebody I look up to very highly. I'm going to bring this picture back up here in a second. But I look up to Gary a lot. So my very first Tinley, I think it was my first Tinley. Was it my first Tinley? But I was there with my wife, and I'm there. We're checked into the room. We go downstairs. I walk into the bar. I'm texting Marshall Mendez, and Marshall Mendez is like, "Hey, I'm at the bar, man." And I'm like, "Oh my God, cool. Let's go see Marshall." And I see Marshall for the first time, and I'm like, "Fuck, Marshall Mendez, dude. Like, here he is. I cannot believe it." And such a fucking awesome guy. Marshall's still to this day one of my very closest friends in this game. So lucky to have that. But right after that, I hear a fucking like tap on my shoulder, and then it's Gary Scavino, and I'm like, Gary, what the fuck? GS Reptiles. And listen, if you're an arboreal geek like myself, you're a huge Gary fan. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you are into chondros, emeralds, savus, anything that's the niche, anything that's the really cool thing to keep in the snakes, you're a big fan of Gary Scavino. So I saw Gary, I couldn't believe it, and he's like, "Hey," I was seriously fangirling. I was like, "Babe, take a picture of me." So she took a picture of us right away. And I couldn't believe it, and so I was like, and Gary's like, "Hey, let's all sit down. Why don't we get a table?" And I'm like, "Oh, wow, this is awesome." So we all get a table by the bar, and Gary's like, "I'm going to get us drinks. So I'm going to get you drinks." He comes around, and then he's like, "MJ, what do you drink?" And mind you, this is right when I just started drinking wine. Okay. So I know Pinot Noir, which I used to call it Nior. Okay. I called it Nior. Right. But anyways, this is even worse. MJ's like, "What do you drink, MJ?" I was like, "Let me do Pinot Grigio." He's like, "Oh, okay, white wine." I'm like, "No, it's a red." I was like, "I want a red Pinot Grigio." He's like, "Red Pinot Grigio?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's a red Pinot Grigio. It's red. I want Pinot Grigio." He's like, he looked at me like very confused, but I was like, "All right." And so Gary was gone for like 20 minutes. Okay. And so he comes back. I'm in so full conversation with Marshall. I think Dennis McNamara is there at that time. There's all these people there, and we're just like in the moment, Tinley moment, right? And which, by the way, would love for you guys to be at Tinley at one time, at some point. But anyways, next thing you know, I see a fucking wine just like slam at the table, right? And I'm like, "Yo," he's like, "MJ, it's Pinot Noir. There is no red Pinot Grigio." And I guess Gary was like arguing with the bartender.
Well, you were so persuasive.
You made us both sound stupid. Take this.
Oh my God. But like, it was really like, we all laughed, and obviously I'm a retard. So it's like, fuck, that was just an iconic moment with Gary Scavino, and why you should always go to shows. But anyway, sorry. I had to mention that story. I know
That's a good story.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I just had something up right now, which, guys, like, just going to say, like, this is so clean. This is so amazing. I'm curious, as far as before we got to this level where you're at with the enclosures and what you guys are doing, did you guys have some sort of money behind the gecko breeding that led to this at all? Or is there any kind of gecko money coming in? Or is it that kind of something just going back into geckos? Like, what has the gecko game done for you guys so far is what I'm curious about right now.
So that's actually a really heavy question right there. The geckos, and this is not an exaggeration, are our lives. They have basically kept focus going. Everybody remembers the Texas freeze in February of, what was it, 2020? I can't even remember these days.
Right.
And through the pandemic is the gecko. So I created that in 2017. It got a little bit bigger, and I jumped into the Xanthics. So you had Brian on, and he was actually, I got a couple hets from him in the very, very early days. Now, this is before everybody, you know how Facebook works and you're in the groups. Everybody was shit talking the fact that Xanthic, that all Crested Gecko genetics are polygenic, or polygenic. And he was like, no, Xanthic's recessive. So I was like, I love Xanthic. I have to have these. And so I actually maxed out a credit card and bought my first pair of head Xanthics from him. And this was before it was proven. I was like, is this legit? Like, for real? Like, I don't know. Like, he looks legit, and he's talking about how I did tons of research. Super big research person here. So I was like, I think this is real. And so I took the leap. And that was in 2017 is when I got my first pair. And that was kind of after I had oscillated between like doing tricolors and, you know, pinstripes and other kind of like, not generic, but like more of the standard kind of, I guess, genetics in Crested Geckos. So I got those two hets, and from there, I did create my first Xanthic, which she is the one that I have. Her name's Singularity. Oh yeah, that's Molasses the Molester. He's also a really fun part of my.
He's worthless, but he's funny.
He is worthless. He will not mate with a female. He only mates with hands.
My guy.
Yeah, he's all show no go.
Yeah, he is super horny. He is.
But he can't figure it out.
He can't figure it out. I put him.
He's great at practicing. He's just when the time comes, he doesn't make it.
Yeah.
Can we look at some? Do you have Xanthic stuff on your page? I mean, guys, please, guys, do me a favor real quick. Go to Instagram, follow them. Method Noir. I said it. Right?
There it is. Well, here's another quick side funny quest here. That's a very weird name because it's the parent company for the enclosure business. So when I have to go buy plastic, it's under Method Noir Exotics. So when I go to the plastic place, they ask who I'm here to pick up for, and I have to tell these guys on a forklift that I work for a company that sounds like they make, you know, naughty toys or something. So they always stare at me like, can you repeat the business name?
They always do.
And they disappear with a forklift. So it's
kick you bastard.
Yeah, that's what they look at me like. Okay, do you have a card? Is what they always ask.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, so that middle photo there, that's my Xanthic girl.
This one right here.
Where? Yes, that's her.
Oh my God, this thing looks fucking sick.
She's an asshole.
She's mean?
Yes, she actually, for the most part, you have to have a.
And it's very mad at me.
Does it bite you?
Yeah, this is what females do when they don't want to mate. I'll let you go.
So we're
gonna put you out. Okay?
They say no. They say no like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's so cool.
Mad girl.
Oh my God, that
okay. I was just trying to get some.
That was so sick. Okay, anyways, go back to what you were saying. I'm sorry.
No, so she's just an asshole. She so most males she'll beat up. She'll dominate them. You see, she's a big girl.
Right.
So getting a male that will I guess do the deed with her has been quite difficult. So that's kind of one of those things that keeps everything patient.
How many different, oh my God, what is this? How many different males have you tried pairing with her so far?
3. I have 3 solid males. So the thing with the Xanthic is because it is recessive, you want to make sure you pair a strong male with her. Right. Now, one of my biggest things is, we're skipping ahead, but might as well talk about it now. Right. One of my main projects that I want to work with is actually pairing the pureblood geckos, which I imported from Belgium, which are actually part of the original wild-caught geckos. So if you know, geckos are actually, they were almost extinct in the early 90s. And there was like a lot of like 200 or so, if I'm getting my history correct, that came into the US. And so basically all of the geckos that we have are from 200 geckos. So if you want to talk about inbreeding depression and all that, that's crested geckos are a huge potential for that. So several years ago, I guess he was a researcher that was in New Caledonia, managed to get a lot of geckos that were separate from those. And I believe this may not be, is accurate. It was somewhere in Europe. So he had all these wild caught geckos, and I have an F2 pair, a male and a female from the original wild caught animals. And so my goal is to actually diversify the genetics. So that's going back to the male that I want to pair with her. It has to be a strong male. And one of the males that I am working on trying to pair with her, and he's actually been doing a decent job, is the pureblood male. So he is the closest to a wild caught crested gecko that we've had in the community since they were imported.
Now, would you consider these still to be young at this point, trying to breed? Are they still technically like there's still a future ahead? Like it could turn around at any point, right?
Well, yeah. So the actual like purebloods, I don't think a lot of people are actually working with it, because one of the biggest things with the purebloods is they don't look cool. They look like your generic kind of like buckskin /
tan
flame boring gecko. They don't have good head structure. And they are basically kind of just like a boring looking gecko. Now, what's awesome about them, so any gecko is awesome. But what's really cool about them is they could contain like fresh genetics that we could. So lily white is one of the, I guess you could say, traits of a crested gecko.
Or is there any lily whites in here that we're looking at?
Yeah. So you've got the right on the left there.
Right here?
I don't know. Yes,
Yep.
that's a lily white.
Wow.
That's one that I produced. So I have.
Look how tiny it is. It's so cute.
It's a little lily. So that's actually a trait morph from Europe that was imported over here. So is the Brian from Altitude. His line actually came from Europe. He actually bought the whole project from the lady who decided to sell it. But that's an interesting story there too. But a lot of the cool stuff is coming out of Europe, and it's funny that we've been selling back to Europe and Asia, and not a lot of people are working with kind of like the, I guess, cutting edge stuff here. There are a lot, but as far as like volume of people, there's not a whole lot here in the US, which is really cool.
Right.
The pureblood stuff is, I think, really cool. It's not flashy. Like that gecko looks awesome, but the pureblood stuff just looks like just a normal gecko. That's Cheeto. So Cheeto is the first gecko. That is Steven's gecko, actually. So I have a cool pairing with planned for her too.
So I gotta say, I don't know. I'm right there with you, with a sense of like, man, there is a lot of shit that's been bred within this country that's being bred within. And if you want to talk about one thing that I'm talking about is the designer chondro lines, right? Like think about some of the oldest designer chondro lines, which not that it has an effect on the animal at all, but it's like just a designer going back into designer, right? So there's no, like, that's one tree, but I feel like a snake that has no designer blood in it, and that's just a locality or just something that's from the motherland, is its own tree to build branches from, right?
Exactly.
And shout, like I said, shout to there's many people in the chondro game I kind of rely on with information. Bill Stiegel, highly one of them. That's like one of my best friends in the chondro game and in life. I love Bill, as we all do. He's the mayor of Chondro Town. But Garrick from the House of Blues, he's a chondro breeder here in the West Coast. He's in Los Angeles. And, I remember there was, a time and place where I wanted to kind of maybe drop some money on a chondro, on a designer chondro. Like and mind you, I already have a couple that I'm raising, but I was like thinking I need a designer chondro in order for me to make sense of what I want. And Garrick is somebody who's been paying close attention to my collection, and he knows a lot of the stuff that I have is just beautiful, healthy, raised locality stuff. And he's saying that a lot of the stuff that he's built his blue line from and everything all came from locality stuff. It all came from locality stuff being bred to certain locality stuff. So he basically gave me the motivation and the influence to realize that I have what I need to kind of create my own designer line. Like anything unique, anything that I want to create my own stamp on, I have that already. It's just going to take time and a lot of good luck and patience.
Well, that's, like what you're talking about on Buddy's podcast, was you were talking about how you have the you've got the designers in the locality, but the designers came from a lot of locality. Obviously, they come from the wild, And I think that locality stuff is, whether it be crested gecko, snakes, monitors, whatever, it adds in, if something's going to survive in the wild, it's going to be pretty tough. So generally, if you've ever, I love the book, The Selfish Gene. That's a very interesting book. It's very dry. It's very tough to listen to.
Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, Richard Dawkins. So he talks about how, like, basically how inheritance happens. So how the strongest survive. And it's just a really interesting kind of foray into wild populations. So imports are not necessarily, as long as they're done humanely and properly, imports are an absolutely integral part to the captive hobby.
I really want to get this book. I'm not joking.
You need to definitely listen to it. It's a 16-hour book. I'm 9 hours in, and it's a lot of like what I do. That book has influenced. I'm not going to say
what kind of, without getting too deep, obviously we don't want to make this whole podcast about the book, but I'm just saying, like, what's the biggest picture it's painting for you right now so far?
Well, this is a book that I've kind of like listened to over the years. So the big picture is that we don't exactly know why genetics are the way that they are, but it all comes down to strength. So the selfish gene is basically saying that it is the most strongest, most what would you say? Selfish.
Dominant.
Yes, yeah, dominant.
Certain stuff wins.
It wins. Yes.
And do you know what's crazy? Like, I've been called selfish my whole life, and I understand how, like, they were very valid on calling me selfish. But the thing is, it's like, I know what I want. Like, I'm very like, and when some humans are very powerful, right? And when you have a certain person who they know what they want. Like, for instance, the 3-ball pythons that she got, she loves you, Stephen, but ain't gonna stop her. You know what I mean? That's a selfish gene. I feel like I want to read this book very, very,
like
very,
an interesting, like an anecdotal story from that book is like the length of a particular bird's tail. The longer the bird's tail is, if it defecates on itself and it's sick, it has essentially, poop on its tail,
and nobody's going to want them.
The females will not mate with the males with long tails with feces on them. Right. And the reason that their tail is long is it catches those feces and it shows that they're sick. So that's a weird, like, evolutionary thing that increases the length of a tail to capture feces to show if an animal is sick, and the female goes, stay away. Mm-hmm. So it's like you think you have this long, beautiful tail, but actually it's to tattle on you that you're not well.
Yeah. So if you are
it's just neat things in nature that like signal.
So a female's like, oh my God, look at that disgusting. Like, what we don't see, they see, basically.
Well, yeah. If you got a bunch of doo-doo on you, you're not pulling down the honeys, right? That's what's happening.
Amen, brother.
There it is. When I leave, I'll make sure I'm doo-doo free, so I have the best chance.
Yeah. Okay. So with that being said, I'm curious as far as, obviously there's a plunge that's taken when it comes to, for instance, no more landscaping, no more car duties, no more school for Steven. You guys are doing this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The full deal. Holyfield is what's happening for you guys. And I want to know, I know Bill has a huge, like, part of the process of when you guys went full board, but when did this even become of a conversation? When did you guys start, like, and who was it? Who was the one to say, hey, we should create fucking enclosures? Like, I want to, like, start talking about the birth of Focus Cube here at this point.
Well, a lot of it was actually YouTube, and I was watching YouTube videos of a guy who was using a small CNC machine to mill distro plates for CPUs for computers. So it's this cool looking acrylic plate. It's 2 pieces. You take a little CNC machine and you basically hog out 2 separate, holes in it essentially, and you made it together with a rubber seal, and it's the little water plate for like your water cooled computer. And I watched this dude on YouTube make these things. I'm like, this looks cool as crap. So I went and bought probably a $1,700 CNC machine. So it does like a 3x3 square, not quite. And I'm going to make these distro plates for computers. I just wanted to machine it because it looked pretty. So I got the CNC machine. My buddy came over and we put it together. And I was too scared to cut acrylic because acrylic is a hard material and didn't want to damage the machine.
And it's expensive.
$1,700. I'm like, this is an insane amount of money. after finding out what geckos cost. But that was an insane amount of money.
Is this what we're talking about here? Like this stuff right here?
Yeah, it's a Shapeoko is the brand. If you search Shape OKO.
Oh, I found it.
That's where it began.
17 right here, 1700.
There you go. This is what started it. I bought one of these, and we got it. My buddy came over. We assembled
The
it.
landscaping guy, buddy.
The landscaping, yeah. Of course, we're all hanging out.
Small freaking world.
And I was too scared to cut acrylic, so I cut PVC, which was a soft material. Ding ding.
That one's way better than the one we had.
So
this is $1,700. You could have got this one.
They've upgraded it since.
Well, obviously, yeah, they obviously evolved. So right.
Oh Jesus, we'll get there maybe. So I was like, I'll cut PVC. It's soft, and I'll make a little box for one of Ashley's animals because she has so many animals. They need houses. I hate these glass turds.
I had them all in tubs and exoterras at the time.
Which you did. That's what everybody said.
I had everything. You look behind me. By the way, thank you so much. I mean, goddamn, it's already an hour and a half. Can we do this commercial break real quick? This episode is brought to you by Focus Cube Habitats.
I know them.
Please go to focuscubehabitats.com. Guys, we have you here now on the live. What is the turnaround right now on the average with an enclosure? That any kind of information you could give to your new or potentially new customers right now?
Well, it depends a lot on what it is, because we've tried to make our smaller stuff and enclosures that people are going to need quickly, try and lower those lead times and get them out as fast as we can. Now, like the bigger stuff, the super extravagant stuff, we kind of like push out a bit,
small animal to,
right. Yeah. So like our, like the hangers, like our smaller Cambro units, the smaller enclosures, we try and make those quicker because, of course, somebody buys an animal from a breeder. They're all excited and they go, oh, crap, I need an enclosure.
Right.
So we try and get those out faster than somebody who needs a super custom color fronted splatter painted 8x4x4. Those take longer. So it really depends on what it is.
What you're looking for.
Right. Exactly. And oddly enough, we had super, super short lead times on some of our smaller enclosures. And then Black Friday came and we got swamped with no Black Friday deals. So it was kind of like, oh, holy moly. So we pushed some of them out a bit, but it just depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Because we make stuff from, 1 cubic foot PVC enclosures, which no one else makes. And there's no one on earth who makes a 1x1 PVC enclosure that's heated and lighted. So we have that from up to 8x4x4 PVC enclosures. And we have lots of stuff that use the Cambro tubs. So that's, the Cambro. There you go.
Oh,
bam.
Man, Tim's setup. That is
the man.
glorious.
My boy. Tim, it's my dog right here.
Commented there. We got GS in there.
Yep.
You got everybody. You got
this right here is just legendary. I gotta say, this kind of craftsman behind, okay, you just simplified, or excuse me, because let's not lie, the tub effect is so great for a snake. Everything behind me was raised in a tub. Okay. But mind you, I got my tubs from Target. Those things you can't see through.
That's the same as me with my geckos.
Right. And God bless us. We only could get what we could get back at that time. But now look what's available. Something you could actually see your animal through. This is just, and guys, we're going to have to talk after this episode because MJ wants to put his 2023 order in. But I'm just letting you guys know right now, this is what makes keeping chondros, emeralds, and I will say only those because that's what I really work with. Dude, this is what thrives. Those kind of species thrives in stuff just like this. But goddamn, shout out to my boy Tim. Look how clean that looks, man.
He's got a vision.
We definitely have to have a shout out to him. He's been with us since the very beginning.
I remember
the very beginning. We had the little giraffe legs and we're trying to stand.
We had our Shapeoko, our $1,700 machine. He has stuff that was produced on that little bitty baby machine.
That was back in, we started in 2019. That was probably back in early 2020 when the pandemic hit. Tim has some of that stuff and we are forever grateful for people like that just supported us through that. So, and this is what he's got now. This is definitely a far cry from the early stuff.
It's a fairly simple setup. Yeah. If you were to say, I keep my snake in a tub, you'd be like, ew, that's nasty. But you got to think that's a polycarbonate tub. That's a food grade tub. So it's sterile, it's clean, it's tall, it's large, it's clear. We actually have updated that design. It has a 3/4 wraparound heating. It has the probe where it drops down in the center. So instead of having to measure the heat tape and guess what the temp is, it actually hangs in that enclosure and tells the temp. As you slide the tub out, there's a recess in the ceiling that you can see. The probe wings by it and drops back down, so you don't have to remove the probe every time you take the tub out. It's a phenomenal system that is super sterile. It's easy to clean and it looks nice. So you can start introducing these animals to light cycles, which is a big deal because if you're a breeder and you sell one of these animals, what happens? They go to somebody with a, random enclosure. They throw the snake in there. They turn the light on all the way because they look at it and the snake hits the ground and you have a problem. This eliminates that. So if you're wanting to raise an animal or if you're wanting to produce an animal, you can start introducing them to those light cycles and the appropriate heating. And you can also keep them clean. So if you have any, new animals you want to quarantine, it's great for that. Or if you just want to make sure that everything you have is 100% clean all the time, this is the way to do it. And it's just a weird, complicated / simple solution to do that, but those snakescapes look sweet in there. So that's
Ron's stuff is phenomenal. Like it's
Ron's the man.
Gorgeous setup there.
It's nuts.
Me and Ron have a conference call tomorrow. Can't wait to talk to the guy. Big things in the works, I gotta say, but I gotta tell you right now, man, I am so proud of what's behind me, guys. Like, you understand, like, you want to talk about what makes me feel good is coming into this room and having these lights turn on when I want them to turn on and everything we talk about. But that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, everyone, there's going to be people out there just like me. Like, shout out to the homie Vince, the homie VC Reptiles. Dude, that guy.
Oh, man.
The homie right there. That guy right there. I respect to him. He's been a huge supporter of me and you guys, obviously. I remember after I put my vlog out on this, he was like, bro, I'm about to do something similar to that. I cannot wait. You just motivated me. Dude, I can't, he told me. And I was like, dude, that's so sick. And man, his shit is so clean. Like, whew, man, it's unreal. But understand that anyone who does things right, and I am going to be critical on this, is people who quarantine their animals. You have to quarantine your shit. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if you're somebody who has a room with, like, let's just say half of this, not even half, like 3 of this shit, but you want to add more, why would you just want to add it into here? Why would you just want to dump that animal into shit that's healthy? You need to quarantine things, and people don't like to quarantine things that they can't see through. This is a perfect quarantine setup. Like, this setup right here is so, like, man, I hope someday I have a quarantine room like all full of these. Like, just like how can you go wrong? Because Ashley, as we were talking about, tubs are your best friend with these things. They fucking love it. It works. It works. Humidity, everything. I'm not joking. But also,
I've done bioactive tubs. It does work. You
don't go there with me at the bio. Why would you go bioactive right now? We're having a great conversation, Ashley. And
I like sterile too. Let's go back to sterile if that's your
safe damn place. You, Ashley. There's a lot of newbie people who are going to look at this and go, okay, I'm going to get my first focus cube and put live plants in it. Come on, Ash. I'm just kidding.
Hey, it's all about the same place.
I know. I'm just kidding. Wait. Hold on. We ought as well just pause this. Are you guys pro bioactive? Like, let's talk about that real quick. You guys are enclosure companies, so this is a huge topic. I'm curious right now let's do this, Ashley. Let's say that you were producing chondros, okay, and you had chondro neos thriving, ready to sell, and I'm one of your customers. How would you talk to me about bioactive for a chondro keeper or somebody who has something that we're talking about that needs more of the sterile effect? I'm curious. Like, how do you guys approach something like that, being an enclosure company?
So this is also a heavy question.
Wait, hold on. Before, I'm so sorry, guys. please go follow my boy Tim Emerald 213
definitely
on Instagram. This is my dog. This is my boy, and also good friends of Steve and Ashley's, big supporters of all of us. So thank you. Sorry. Go ahead and continue.
Go and follow VC Reptiles too. Yeah,
and VC Reptiles, the homie Vince, please. Yes.
Yep. All very good people. So that's a heavy question. And you may not like my answer, but
no, I'm open. Let's go.
I have one too.
Good.
Yeah. So it's not black and white. And the problem is that everybody wants an actual answer, but with living things there is no correct answer. Now, I am pro bioactive. I am pro naturalistic, and I am pro sterile. We have all three. And so everybody wants to have an easy answer, but going back to like jumping into breeding reptiles and doing things your own, is there is no easy road and there is no easy answer. Now, there's 50 shades of gray. So I, as a monochromatic fanatic, that's my little tagline. There's an answer to everything, and there's also different ways to go about it. So I think that the biggest thing is a closed mindset is the worst part of any kind of keeping. And so not going down that road into the psychology of it, I would say for somebody who is beginning, start simple. If you don't understand, not understand, but if you don't have experience in reading a snake and figuring out when it's hungry or if it needs to poop or when it's going to shed, then you need to make the parameters as small as possible. And when you do that with sterile setup, it's small parameters. You don't have to have a lot of things that you have to pay attention to. Now, moving on, you can go into naturalistic or bioactive setups, because bioactive is actually kind of a weird term in that it's not, everybody thinks it's like real wet and gross. It's not. It's just the fact that you have what's called a cleanup crew that's able to take up a lot of the feces that the animal drops. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something super wet, but for a new snake, the simpler the better. And bioactive doesn't have to be complex. So I'm going to let Stephen jump into this because he's going to have probably a more fluid answer. But my answer would be is you can do it anyway, and these animals will thrive in any one of these.
Yeah, I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do, well, either. I think a lot of people hate bioactive, whatever that means, quote unquote stuff, just because they're used to trying it in enclosures that didn't work. I'm like, I like sterile setups. Most of our like arboreal stuff, like green trees and stuff, they're in a sterile setup and it works very well. It's easy to manage. You can manage it at scale. It's a great solution. The majority of I think arboreal enclosures we make are geared towards sterile setups. Now, with that said, that does not mean that you cannot keep, let's just go ahead and say, a green tree python in an enclosure that is planted with soil, a cleanup crew, live plants, in
UV lighting.
And UV lighting with moisture. So that is actually, I don't know if you've seen or not, we have created, and hold on, this is the Heretic model. So if you've not seen the Heretic model, this thing is 3 foot wide, it's 2 foot deep, and it's 4 foot tall. This enclosure has automated humidity, ventilation. It's got probably 10 inches of substrate. It is a live planted enclosure. It also has carbon fiber perches. It's got
it's right there on the right.
Dude, that's the one right there. There it is. It's got real plants. It has artificial plants. It has hanging water dishes. That thing is a robot that is also a box. And I think there's a way to do this, but we have to take the old bad enclosures out, and we have to take the old dogma person out too.
Right.
So that thing kind of operates itself, which these animals, I guess they do live outside, so they can make it not on top of paper towels, which I don't care. This is not a value judgment on people that do that. Most of our stuff is on top of those like
puppy pads,
black puppy pads.
Yeah.
It's the way to go with googly. It's so easy. And somebody who's going to have a bunch of animals is going to have a hard time with a lot of those Heretic models. You're not going to put a room full of those in there, and you're going to breed a bunch of chondros in them. So there is a set of the market. There's people that own these animals that want a one-off nice display enclosure, and there is a way to do it that's not going to kill your animal, and I'm going to figure it out. So that is essentially all that is. But
is it MJ's turn?
Okay, let's see. Let's go. It's MJ's turn.
No, I'm so confused.
Okay.
Cube, I'm confused.
Okay.
I don't think puppy pads is the way to go anymore.
All right.
Okay. I'm so obsessed with my Miss Willie lines. Like these are my babies right here. Okay.
Right.
Everything's over puppy pads. You want to know what I had to do 3 days ago? I had to fucking pull out 7 inches of puppy pads out of this fucking girl's throat.
Yeah.
It caught her tooth, which wrapped around the wrap, and she swallowed the wrap with the puppy pad. If I was maybe, I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes, or I don't know, 5 minutes late to that, it would have been fucking surgical type shit.
That's a wrap. Yeah.
Yep.
Or a wrap, son. You know what I mean? So I'm very fucking aggravated with that. Like, I was very upset, but I also like that could happen. Like, you know, like, and what's crazy is I saw her take the wrap. She didn't wrap the puppy pad, but these emeralds, if anyone's out there have experience keeping emeralds, they do this thing where they'll wrap and then they'll tumble and wrap again. Like, they'll do this thing where they'll reposition and re-wrap it. So I'm pretty sure what happened was feed. Everything's good.
Oh,
it repositioned and it caught the fucking pot.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you know, and luckily, and the thing is, I still caught it. Like, I was still like, I still checked in, and here I am. I'm like, yo, where's the half the puppy pad? It was down her throat. So I had to fucking literally goddamn fucking Dr. Doolittle it, and it was fucking disgusting. And it sucked. But, you know, cocoa chips is another thing, but check this out. I don't have the snake no more. My homie Calvin has it, but Bobby Digital, I had this fucking big ass male who literally swallowed a handful of sphagnum moss. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, I could not believe, and the time I walked in, it was so far deep, there's nothing I can do. Like, I was like, it's going down with, and it was all wrapped with the rat, mind you, like this roll thing, right? And I remember calling Forrest, I think it was Forrest, and I was like, dude, this thing just swallowed a handful of sphagnum moss.
That's pretty
it's gonna fucking die. But no, nothing happened to it, you know. So that's why I think even cocoa chips is even though you don't want it to swallow it, but I think maybe it's a safer route than puppy pads. Like, dude, hello, like that was fucked up. So I'm just I like to keep doing what I'm doing that works, and the paper game works for me. But the puppy pad works for me. But obviously that doesn't work for me. I don't want to go through that. Like, I don't want to have to lose a snake off. And I'm not the only one. There's so many people out there who have gone through the paper towel swallow thing. Like, that shit happens a lot. The snake swallowing the paper substrate happens quite a bit in the Chondro game and the Arboreal game from what I've seen. So I'm not against cocoa chip substrate, but I could tell you one thing. Like, if you have a snake, like let's just say a Chondro, go for it. Like, if that, I mean, you guys are obviously all for quarantine, right? Like, you don't recommend getting a first snake, putting it into a bioactive. You can at least admit that though, right, Ashley?
Well, usually
no. That's like the Hanger 1 series. Is
we
essentially
quarantine
what
in
happens.
personally.
It doesn't matter what we have. It goes straight into something that is a non-opaque tub, and you monitor that thing for as long as you can.
Perfect.
Anything you get, I don't care what it is, legs, no legs. I mean, you watch it for as long as you can.
So we're on the same page as far as that goes. But let's say you want, you know, God bless the people who have a beautiful home and they want to maybe make it a fucking like a living room piece. You know what I mean? Can you get away with maybe one of those? Yeah, of course, you know, but I'm coming from the sense of all these being like, imagine putting all these in bioactive, like, and you want to breed them. I don't know. I can't say I'm against it, but for the average person who has 9-to-5s, a busy life, who can't sit there and watch their snake the entire time, and might not be safe or even logical to go bioactive with all that kind of responsibility. Like, the simple route is your best route. But this is, again, I just got done bitching about puppy pads. So I don't know where I'm at. I got to say, you got to figure it out yourself as far as what works best for you.
Well, yeah, different strokes for different folks. I mean, if you have a large collection and time is an issue, of course, you don't want a very expensive, complicated setup that requires a lot of diligence to maintain, because here's a thing they try and sell as far as like a quote unquote bioactive setup, is that it takes care of itself. You put the animal in there and it all runs itself. And that is not it. It's actually way more difficult, because you have to be ultra diligent to make sure that the parameters are correct, that the animal is well, that everything
you need a draining system. Okay. First and foremost, a lot of people don't.
Draining is actually, so a lot of the stuff, we're going to go on a tangent here, but a lot
Okay.
old bioactive enclosures, if you try to put it in a box that doesn't vent, you're going to have issues. But the thing is that technology has gotten better. And if you have experience with bioactive, then, so bioactive, that's the term that I'm just using.
And you don't like it because from what I've heard, bioactive is very new, technically. Like,
no,
no, but like the term bioactive wasn't something that nobody called it bioactive in the 90s or in the early 2000s. That wasn't even a term I heard.
It's more of like, I guess, a colloquial
modern. It's a modern,
term.
yeah.
And it's come from mostly so amphibian hobby. So keeping dart frogs and amphibians, a lot of that they've been like, yeah, we've been bioactive for many, many years. Because amphibians, they drink through their skin, obviously. But with reptiles, people who try to do that, they put it in a box that doesn't vent. They just put it in a box. That's the problem, is you can't have just a box. You have to be able to understand that the soil, the plants, everything respirates. You have to be aware of that. And bioactive, quote, or naturalistic is not difficult. It just takes different parameters. So it's easy for people as humans. I'm going back to that. We all want to make everything black and white. We all want to know exactly how it's going to go and put it into a definition. Now, if you're going to be keeping live plants and a cleanup crew and anything like that, and of course UV light and anything, it can create more parameters, but it doesn't have to be difficult. And that's one of the things too that we are working towards, is getting people's minds open, not necessarily going bioactive or going naturalistic, because we love all three. It is just getting people's minds open that it is not, none of them are bad and none of them are perfect for everyone. That's the 50 Shades of Gray. That's where there's always the nuance. There's some people can keep with everything and like all the plants and everything. And then some people just need to have the paper towels or the paper or puppy pads. It all depends on your particular animal, your particular situation. And there's no one answer that is going to answer everybody's.
It's too tribal. It's I'm this guy or that guy. And I'm like, there's no this or that. I'm like,
there's definitely no this or that, but you should not get into bioactive for you to have less work. Like, that's for sure.
Well, that's the complete wrong way to go about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, there couldn't be a more opposite way. I'm like, just trying to keep,
it's
take
more
the
rewarding.
animal out of the enclosure.
It's more rewarding for, dude, mind you. Oh, God damn. If I had here's the thing. I want to talk about somebody who I saw does a bioactive year after year with basins who are cohabiting year after year. And these basins are having successful litters year after year with this individual. He runs the Virginia Zoo. His name's Dennis McNamara. I just already brought him up. But, you know, Dennis has these basins that breed from every single year in a bioactive system. But he is somebody who says that he has to keep the water hitting them for like 20, 30 minutes a day. Like, they get drenched on. And they drink. He says, dude, I watch them like for an hour at least. They just drink water. And that's how they do their thing. He's like, but a lot of people don't understand as far as the maintenance behind of keeping something like this. And he had a crazy drainage system underneath it. And it looks beautiful, but it's work. It's rewarding, but it's work. And you better have the time ready to rock and roll for shit like that, because things can't go south. Like, there could be floods, there could be things with your whatever that you're trying to do that could go bad. If your attention to detail and you're ready for that kind of responsibility, dude, do I think we need more bioactive examples out there that are killing it? Yes, I can't say no. I mean, it's just not for everybody, guys. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, and that's something you don't want to prescribe to everybody, because there's it's the whole, tribal thing. It's like, you have to keep them all this way. It's like, if you have a 2x2 cube, you're not going to keep that thing fully planted with a chondro in it, with no kind of like active ventilation, and it's just going to work out. It's going to be extremely difficult. It's going to require like a ton of diligence on your end that you're probably not going to be able to keep up with. It's going to take a lot of input from you and from devices, I guess, to maintain that environment. So like the one that we have now, like that Heretic model, it's a large enclosure. And it actually works, but it's not because we're just misting once a day and there's some kind of like prescribed method to do it. So it takes a lot of effort and energy to do it. And if you have a large collection and you have not a lot of space, it's going to be rough for you to do it correctly.
Yeah, so that's why we don't recommend
I won't
that-
say correctly, or do it well that
Yeah.
doesn't cause some kind of detrimental effect. to
Why
the
I think
animal.
bioactive is great. I'm not going to recommend that to everyone, but if somebody's interested in it, I'm not going to turn them away from it. So that's kind of the nuance of it, is that you can keep things many different ways. And even if you have a larger collection, a lot of people are afraid of like UV for like sunburn or anything like that. And I'm like, it's really, yes, that's a possibility. But if you're too afraid to offer it, is probably because the enclosure is too small, or two, you don't provide enough cover. So if you think about how an animal, like say a gecko, I offer all my geckos UVB. Now something like that, a lot of people are too afraid to do, which I understand, because it's something that's not new because they've been in the wild, they have it, but it's new within the hobbies because the UVB has gotten so much better. So for a long time, UVB had a bad name for like bearded dragons and monitors. The type of fixtures created too much UVC, which is the harmful, I guess, radiation. So UV is radiation, and that's why you get sunburns, etc. But the companies that are out now that are providing UVB fixtures are far, far better than anything in the past. So a lot of people cite that, oh, these animals have been kept without UVB for many, many years, and or they have issues with UVB fixtures. And a lot of that is just of the past. Like, we used to use lead paint on playgrounds. That's part of the past. We've learned that things have changed since then. So a lot of people say that they poo-poo UVB because in the past, it was not a good thing. But for now, I think moving towards the future is that if you provide your animal enough space and enough cover to, quote, escape it, then you will see basking behaviors. And with our geckos and our green trees, and of course monitors, I always have provided my monitors UVB. They do use it. And it's definitely something you have to watch your animal. So it's going back to the naturalistic versus sterile versus bioactive, is it takes put on your part. You have to watch your animal, and you have to read your animal and see what it's doing.
Yeah, it's trial, error, and it's personality. They all do different things. I have some Arus that they gravitate towards a UVB light, and I have some that go away from it. And I'm like, there's some bizarre thing that happens where some of them search it and some of them stay away.
Yeah, they're all
okay, guys, with all due respect, fuck the snakes. Okay, let's talk about how the lizards appreciate UVB. And that's how I really started connecting UVB, the dots with reptiles, was the way my lace monitors, like mainly my green tree monitors, okay? Because they have the option. Here's the thing: any monitor, for the most part, only basks for so many minutes because it's hot where they're at. It's so hot. So they can't just sit there for fucking hours and they'll die. So they get the warmth that they need, but they kind of need that natural daylight. So what I see from I have levels of basking, right? But I also have the cool side of just UVB shit. And I just see the back and forth. And it's crazy because, the way it's so nuts, because it's tree monitors specifically. If you give them good places to hide, they're going to hide. They'll hide for sure. But there's something that gets them out. And I got to tell you right now, Mac Drainalis, who now upgraded to their enclosure that I highly regret, which we'll talk to in a minute. The green tree monitors are now in that big 6x. What is that called again? The 6x2 by
Concord SR72.
Fuck it, that thing is solid. And I didn't realize how solid it was until I got those goddamn shit machines out of there, and I pressure washed dude, guys, when I pressure washed that Concord, and it's brand new, like white spanking fucking clean, brand new. And I put the green tree monitors in there, and they are just, dude. If I'm going to do a vlog on that enclosure with the green tree monitors, I feel like that needs to be the ideal green tree monitor enclosure, is that Concord, because it's enough room to have multiple nest boxes, but it has the option of having the hot side of things with UVB and just UVB. And I'm telling you right now, like Ashley's saying, it's up to us to pay attention, right? And this is my full-time job, so I can't help but to pay attention. And all I could pay attention is how much they can't help but to love being out in that UVB. And, VivTech, shout out to VivTech, man. All my UVVs are VivTech. And that's not a sponsor push or anything like that. I'm just saying I do have VivTech to thank. When I started using VivTech bulbs, that's when I really noticed it. I can't just say it's only VivTech bulbs. I'm not going to say that, but I'm telling you, that's when I really started looking at UBV. And I don't know, like, oh man, and like here, this is going to show you how this is in the sponsor pool, because I don't think ball pythons need UBV. I'm sorry, I really don't. I mean, can they enjoy it? Maybe, but these things purposely hide from everything. They don't want to be seen. They want the most darkest life possible, and I feel like those are some snakes, like a blood python, like or short tail. Think about something that's burrowed, right? But you pull it out, and it still looks beautiful. So I don't think a snake needs UBV to look beautiful. There are just certain things out there that can appreciate it because they don't have that type of, like, you know, I'll say it. Monitors are a lot smarter than snakes. Monitors care more. They are like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't want to say cat and dog, but you know, cats don't give a fuck.
Well, no, the monitors, my monitor projects, they've produced nothing, but they're my favorite.
Dude, Ashley, come on. I mean, like, Steven, I love you, but goddamn, me and Ashley are like we should be brother and sister, and you should be my brother-in-law. I think that's. I wish we went to school together, guys. I really do.
I was super weird. You wouldn't have liked me back then.
I would have been cool though. I mean, I would have been your cool brother. I would have been your cool brother, and I would have defended you from Steven calling you fucking metal mouth.
No, you would have called me metal mouth too. No, it's for sure. I was right. super geeky. I am still super.
But no, like, listen. As we're talking about, there are certain species that we all keep here in this conversation that makes you realize things that not need UBV, but they know it's there, and boy, do they love it and they appreciate it.
Well, reptiles can see they've developed over many years.
Yeah.
And I think that moving towards, now, once again, not saying that you have to or you can't, you know, or you don't or you shouldn't. I think that there's nuance to it. I think that offering it is where people should move towards. Even with ball pythons, I do understand that they burrow. They're not arboreal. They are arboreal because they have to escape floods. But I think that offering it and having the animal be able to use it is a great idea and a great move towards. Now, do we offer like the hanger systems they have LEDs and stuff like that? And so we understand that people have to have efficiency with it, but keeping the closed mind, as in, no, I'm never going to offer this, that's where the problem arises. You have to have an open mind that say, okay, UVB is something that reptiles, the sun offers it. So if a wild animal, you have to think of, okay, what would this wild animal do? So obviously they're in captivity. It's a different situation. You have a small microcosm that you have to take care of. And so a lot of people are afraid to offer the UVB because it's such a small space. Okay, maybe they'll get sunburn, maybe they'll get eye issues, whatever. But offer the animal, think of, okay, what would it do in the wild? So a ball python, a chondro, they want to go hide under leaves, they want to go burrow. Let them do that. But also provide very low levels and you can move it up from there. But what's awesome about the modern day UVB manufacturers is they tell you right on the box, like how far for different batting zones. So
okay. What's the average American that reads the box? Come on.
I understand, but it's all about being present. And if you're going to take on a living thing, you have to be present.
You should be able to read.
You should be able to read. Yeah,
you should. Yeah. But how about this? Obviously, where I'm coming from, and I'm sure where you're coming from, is based off experience. What we're seeing when we're talking about the here. This is what I would like. I would like anyone out there who's very pro ball python keeping and UBV keeping to kind of show me some documentation. Like, why don't you put your cameras out and show me a ball python regularly, or any ball python coming out and showing its body just basking in the daylight and keeping track. Like, I would like to see some documentation on that, and that would be some really good evidence. But here's the thing. I will give it to one species of snakes out there that does openly lay out there in the basking, doesn't give a fuck because it's basically the king of the jungle, and that's a retic. That's a super dwarf or mainland retic. Those motherfuckers, those climb high places. They climb very high places just to get sun. Okay, so that's why I think it just all depends on the species. I could tell you right now, anyone out there that I see who keeps a retic that has perches, UBV, all sorts of like awesome options. That's all I got to say, man. And especially if you have it in a focus cube habitat.
Well, what's funny
yeah.
about that is we actually have designed a 24XL model, which is 30 inches long, it's 24 inches deep, and it's 24 inches tall. So it allows you to take basically a very, very young super dwarf retic.
Which we have a little Calicoa girl who's gorgeous.
Yeah, we have an enclosure that has a shelf. It has an integrated hide hanger. It has a heat panel. It has a deep heat projector. It has a UVB. It has a halogen bulb. So all these things work in sequence with each other to basically offer different lighting and heating at different times to like manipulate the animal's behavior. So in this hide that's underneath the shelf, it's full of moss, so it's very humid. So this animal will actually come out in the mornings when the heat lamp cycle on, so the deep heat projector and the halogen and
which
the UVB.
Is a lot of UVA.
Yeah, she will come out and she will bask under those things while basically they're on. We have 2 carbon perches in the evenings. She'll actually climb around on those. And when the evenings wind down, she actually climbs back in that warm hide for a little bit underneath those lights inside the hide that's warmed by the lights above it. She warms up in there, and then at night she comes out and she cruises around. So we have one not very large enclosure that actually incites a lot of behavior in one small animal.
A lot of movement.
Yeah.
Those things are smart as could be. Little super dwarfs.
Yeah,
they are curious, they are clever, and they respond a lot to different heating and lighting. So there's a lot of ways you can manipulate one of those animals.
We have the super dwarf, we have the carpet, we have the jungle carpet, and we have the BCI boa. All of them have UVB, and they all come out and bask. But you give them all kinds of, which a lot of people don't like to do this, but you give them hides, they'll disappear. You can't, you're just looking at an enclosure with some plants. That's kind of boring. But you have to let them do their thing. So the carpet, he'll go in his cork log. The boa, she likes to hang out in her log, and she'll just sit right in front of her water hole, which the reason that she does that is because in the wild, the snakes will hang around water features because mammals, rodents, birds will come to drink. So he's doing, you let them have natural behaviors inside of it's not the wild. You're not mimicking the wild. So obviously the wild has parasites, it has predators. You're not doing that. So you don't want to be so high-minded that you are mimicking the wild. It's a captive environment, but you have to be aware of the space that you have. So you give them hides, you give them a light to bask under, and you give them the proper heat. And you give
them options.
Yeah. Yeah. Thing. It's like the little Calicoa. She will go in different areas. She's got her UVB, she's got her halogen, and she's got her deep heat, and she'll be at different spaces at different times of the day. And the super dwarves are very smart. Any kind of retic, they're like monitors. They are the monitors without legs. So it's very much, they're very similar to the waters that I have. You'll watch them, and they look at you, they read you, and they're like, what are you doing?
I mean, I just feel like a retic, I mean, even a super dwarf, like they know they're capable of shit. Like they know, like they're born with confidence. Like, you know, like a ball python. I mean, you have some feisty ball pythons, but at the end of the day, ball python can't do shit. Like that thing ain't gonna, it balls up. It's a ball. You're done, buddy. Like, I'm sorry, you're done. Go deep. That's what your best bet is. Hide. And that's what they do. They know they have nothing to defend themselves but to be hidden. A retic, I mean, goddamn, I think one of the most historical pictures I've ever seen float around social media was that retic and that king cobra. Like they were both biting each other and they're both wrapped. Did you ever see that photo? Oh my God. Okay. So it's basically, it's them in the wild, and it's like the retic is grabbed onto the cobra's face, but the vice versa. The cobra's bit onto the retic's face, but the retic has the cobra wrapped, and they both died like that. It's all over. I'll pull it up right now. It's like the most craziest thing I've ever seen. But it's like, of course,
there's so much eye movement. They're looking at you, they're looking at the environment, they're checking you out,
they're
looking up, they're looking down. I'm like, there's a lot of processing going on up there. They're just not just little computers just trying to, react. They're looking and
like you said, they have the confidence. They're even the super dwarfs, like you said, they're from a bigger snake. So they are, as we go back to the selfish gene, they have size. So they have that development over the years of being probably part of the top of the food chain. So it's really
But they have that like confidence behavior. They're not constantly striking it like a green tree. They're just constantly biting at everything. I'm like,
Mhm.
these retics kind of look around and they're just hanging out.
They
They're just-
analyze.
Yeah, they're like, this is
Right.
not a problem.
All right, you ready to see this?
Let's
All right, let's go.
go.
Check this out.
Oh,
Look at
yeah.
there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shitty pic. There's actually a pic of the whole body, like the whole length, but you could see the retic got hunted by the cobra. Like
Well,
the
he would, yes, that the
Yeah.
cobra would have won over because obviously if you get envenomation from that, you're done for. But I like
Right.
how they have the confidence to fight back. Look at that. I mean,
They
that
just
is
don't-
that's the wild right there.
you ain't gonna see no ball python pulling that shit. I'll tell you that much. But listen, I can't help but to be like, really honored to be in front of people who are on the forefront of changing the people's perspective on things, because at the end of the day, people have different ambitions and they have different goals behind the animals, right? It's either breeding, keeping, or a little bit of both. And, if somebody wants to be as simple as possible, they want to be plain Jane, you have an option for that. If they want to go ahead and do bioactive shit, you have an option for that. And I feel like having that kind of option for people who, whatever floats their boat, like, because like I said, I want to say it's mainly in Europe, but I seen some type shit that I have behind me that's all fully bioactive, and it's like very impressive. You know what I mean? But
Can be done.
it can be done, right? It's just I think it really depends on the individual at the end of the day.
Well,
Yeah, we don't know what's right or what's wrong. So we try and make everything that helps everyone. So it's like,
Right.
if you want to keep this way, that's fine. And if, this is a difficult way to keep that needs some navigating, we'll try that too. So this is not like an ideological thing that you have to do something a certain way. It's like, we're trying all of it and we'll see what works. So people tell us if this is good or this is bad, and we just go towards that way.
you also don't want to overwhelm someone. So if they're already trying to care for an animal, it's levels. It's levels. So like we say, you can start in like a hanger one setup. So if you get your brand new neonate or a matrix, you put them in something small, you let them grow, you figure out the animal, you learn the animal, and then maybe you can go from there. So and then you can go to, maybe you have like a 24 or 24 XL with like cocoa chip or even puppy pads, whatever. You don't have to go full bioactive. But once you learn your animal, like, oh, this guy, he likes to eat like every 10 days. He does this. He wiggles his tail like that. Or like with the geckos, you're like, oh, this gecko sits here when he's hungry. So you learn how to read your animal. And it's not saying that if you start sterile, that you can't go towards a more natural setup.
or that you'd have to.
Or that you have to. Yeah.
Right.
But it all comes down to taking care of the animal and what are the animal's best interest with your skills. So you don't want somebody that's going to get a new animal and you want to put it under UVB and all these crazy things, but they don't know how to program a thermostat. So that's why it's all steps. You don't want somebody.
Yeah, and people are part of it too. It's
Yes,
like if you can't, interact in a certain way with an animal, you should keep it a particular way. So it's not like
It's all
everyone should
growth.
aspire to be one particular thing. It's what do you do? What can you do? What can you keep up with? And then how do you want to
It's part of the whole equation. So that's why advice, I love teaching people, but the problem is I do not like giving advice, because advice from me is I've had a lot more experience. And what I'd say is I'd give the best that you can for the animal. And people don't like that answer because they want an actual, like, what exact lighting, what size. I don't know. We don't know. We just don't. We don't know. Like, we live in a very humid climate that has, not super cold. We don't have basins. I don't know. I can't know for your actual climate. Now I can guess, but I don't want to say like my educated opinion on this particular thing. And if it doesn't work, it takes input from you. And that's really difficult to communicate to somebody. So especially like with the crested geckos, going back to, this is supposed to be geckos, is like, I do offer the UVB to the geckos. And people were like, well, I don't offer UVB to my geckos because I don't really understand how. And it takes research. It takes effort on your part. Now, with the geckos, geckos are very, very similar to chondros and green trees and like emeralds and stuff and arboreal snakes. So that's why we've really kind of gravitated towards that, is they live in a similar kind of climate and light. What do you call it? Through the light
Tunnel?
No, light amount. So as far as UVB amount.
Exposure?
Exposure, yes, perfect. Yes. So with the geckos, I provide all my adults. Now, there's a reason why I don't provide my babies with that, is because they're in smaller tubs. Now, you don't want to provide UVB well, you can. It just needs to be large, because when you have a smaller enclosure, the gradient is going to be very tight. So you don't have a lot of like leeway either way. So that's why larger enclosures, the same with ventilation. A larger enclosure with proper ventilation is going to work a lot better than somebody trying to put, a bioactive enclosure in an 18 cube. That's not going to be, it can be successful, but it's going to be a lot harder to be successful. So that's all part of the equation, is size, ventilation, and the amount of cover. You can't provide a lot of cover in a little 6-quart tub. So I don't say, all baby crested geckos need to have UVB. Even though they would have access to UV in the wild, if you're not going to put them in like the tubs that I keep them, which are the 26 by 15 by 26, 18, 15s, it's a little dangerous, not dangerous, it's a little tougher to provide a spot that works for the amount of UV exposure. So the same with the snakes, the same with really any animal. So monitors, it's really easy to offer UV because they cycle. Like you said, they cycle, they go back, they move, they bask, whatever. And they also have large enclosures. Now, if you're going to keep a snake in a smaller enclosure or a gecko in a small enclosure, you don't want to have something that blasts them all the time. You want to have the space. So going long tangent, make sure that what you're doing is mimicking the wild in a way that makes sense if you're going to try to do that. Now, if you're going to do sterile, smaller can work, but always keep an open mind and always be able to adapt to what your animal is doing. That's really the thing. There's no answer. Everybody wants to have an answer to something, and there just isn't. They're livings.
Like I said, ball python documentary. I would love it. If you could go to Focus Cube Habitat, buy a shit ton of ball python enclosures and put UBV under it and document it. I want to see what happens.
Well, hey, we've got, the little girl that you sold. She's actually going to go in a 5x2x2 with full UVB and lots of cork.
Wait a minute. Okay. So my wish is here. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
So are we going to document this? Can we get some footage of this?
Yeah, so currently she's in a hanger setup because she's quarantining. My dad's getting used to, because she is my dad's snake, and her name is Fantine. So we're getting her feeding regularly, which she's feeding like a boss. So excellent there. But yeah, she's gonna go in one of our 5x2x2 studios. She's got a fully planted setup. She's got the heat panel. She's got the UVA with the halogen, and then she's got an actual UVB. So
this is perfect.
There.
This is perfect. All right, keep me posted. I got to see this. I'm curious, and it couldn't be with anyone better. So this is great. If we can kind of revert back to the gecko topic of things, as of right now, when it comes to your gecko production, how much of that financially are you dependent on versus? I mean, because I don't know. I feel like you guys are always expanding focus wise. Is that helping? Is the gecko game helping focus expand, or is focus helping focus expand?
It's both.
Yeah, the enclosure part of it is like a snake that eats its own tail, as they say. It's this constant thing.
Yeah.
Where when the dollars come in, it's like you have to expand the business. So it's not like you're taking that stuff as profit. So when people buy a box, it's like we're not buying Lamborghinis. It's like we're buying more plastic.
We've sold all our motorsport stuff mostly.
Yeah, we've gotten rid of a lot of stuff actually. So a lot of it goes back into. I don't know if you've seen the new giant CNC machine we have that just came in. But that's part of it. It goes back into it. We have a gigantic, monstrous machine that's just come in.
And that's our faith in you. The people that are watching, we are investing in this community because we want to make it better. What better is we're working towards that. We want to work with people, but that is a huge investment on our part. And that was partially created from the geckos. Like without the geckos, I mean, Focus would not be what it is. We just finally, the last gecko Exanthic landed in Korea. So we now have those funds to actually take care of some house stuff that we've been waiting on for years. So the geckos are, as I said, the geckos are life. They have created focus. They are taking care of, our home, and they're taking care of us. So that's why we choose to take care of them, and that's why we upgraded to the setup that we have with UVB that you showed earlier. But yeah, it's all very much intertwined.
But how much of that can you really say, Ashley, was due to that investment that you maxed your credit card on?
Oh, all of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, all of it.
And I can't believe I'm saying that. Two geckos and a max credit card have made everything that you've seen today.
Yeah, we jumped off the ledge. Being self-employed, so that's the other thing too, is if you want to go into reptiles and breeding, our health insurance, very minimal. We have it. We have no retirement. All we have is a faith in these animals and a faith in the community that will continue to support us as we support each other. That's the thing, is we're trying to create stuff that's better. We're trying to create animals that are better, and we're trying to respect both the humans and the animals that make this possible. It's all, I know, especially, Chris Eaton, he hates to talk about the community. I'm like, it's a huge, it's all part of it. It's like, we all have to support each other, and we have to keep open minds. That's really,
it's funny, man. Listen, no disrespect to anyone who's in the reptile game, podcasting wise, the way they are, but I can't not be a part of anything that does not influence what keeps this game going. And what keeps this game going are the new excited people that are into this. And my biggest proud of this podcast, okay, one thing that coolest reptile podcast in the world, because I attract all the newest, all the freshest, all the most motivated motherfuckers that come into the reptile game. They fucking could discover this shit first. And that's a fact. And because I promoted the right way, I'm not salty. I'm not bitter. I guess I'm in the right position I need to be in to be excited to be where I'm at. But guess what? I do everything I do because of the animals. Okay. And guys, I'm sorry. I definitely love the individuals that you guys are, but you want to know why the fuck I rep you guys so hard? It's because what you guys do for my animals. Like, you guys have created something that I never thought I would have. Like, I never thought I could walk in to these snakes not being in tubs and they're in something like this. And I got to tell you, I'm not saying that, they're the ones that invented a fucking PVC enclosure. No, it's just your style of doing things. You guys are separate from everything else. And I always knew that from the beginning, and mainly because of Bill. Again, shout out to Bill Stiegel. Okay. But you guys had a little zest on your fucking designs that I knew nobody else had, but because you guys care that much. Okay. So that being said, I rep you guys to that level because of that. You know what I mean? It's just like, why do people love Justin Gabelka so much? Because how serious he takes his shit. Like, he does not fuck around. He puts in the work. Like, why do people fuck with this podcast so much? Because I put in the work. They see it. Like, it's there. I get props from the hardest working individual in the reptile game. Okay, so there you go. So it's there. So at the end of the day, people have positions in this, and your guys' position makes my position very, very proud. I got to tell you, I love that you guys, think about how you guys sponsored me 2 years ago when you had, I'm not saying you guys have money now, but you guys were just scraping by, like literally scraping by. And I just, all I cared about was having your guys' name a part of my podcast. That's all I give a fuck about. Okay. Because correct me if I'm wrong or right. I don't know who else you guys sponsored out there, but was I the first podcast you guys ever sponsored?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
We hang that plaque right there, and we put it up there. And then when Steven and Ashley come to Trap Fest, they sign it. That's how it happens.
There you go.
Let's go.
Well, that's the trick of this whole thing. If you're not willing to invest your whole life into it, it's going to be
to give
a hard road
before
for
you can receive. That's
this is not a thing you just get rich quick, which a lot of people look at this whole industry and go, I can make a bunch of money real fast. And that is not the case, because you'll get sniffed out or you'll get snuffed out. There's no
pythons.
Whatever.
Well, anything.
Even boxes. You see all the people who make enclosures that go out of business. And I was like,
there's been lots of people that have.
That's a very good point. Listen,
very sad.
I saw. Other than Sea Serpents, nothing against. Shout out to Sea Serpents, OG company in the game, right? But I don't know. There were so many other different Sea Serpents after Sea Serpents, right? Like it's just another box You know what I mean?
It's really easy to copy a box.
It's very easy. And you know what's so funny? Like I had people who even tried even saying that you guys are just creating another bots. But hold on. No, I'm sorry. But now that I have 12 of these motherfuckers behind me, it's not just a bot. It's completely fucking different. And it smacks different. Everything is different behind what you guys put out there. And that's what made me realize how much I want to fuck with you guys. But, you know, I'm just saying, you know how it's like you put what you put in, you get, like the amount of work and effort you put in is what shows. This is the perfect example of this. Like I'm telling you right now, like where you guys are headed and where you guys are like continuously at, or which is getting the biggest people's attention in the game, is you guys are creating a type of, I mean, fuck, why are Bentleys? Why are Mercedes? Like, why are there just something where I want that stamp? Like that is a stamp.
Right?
That's a status. And yeah, you know what? This status in the arboreal game, it is about status. How good are you keeping your animals? Are you giving them light options? Are they, you know, does all that shit happen? And I'm able to provide all that stuff in these enclosures. So focus cube or die. You feel me?
There you go. If there's a better way to do it, we'll do it.
Well, yeah, it means
That's
a lot to have the support, or at least people who like put in a lot of time, right?
Right.
So that being able to have that recognition, right?
Right.
It makes a huge difference because, like you were talking about, so many of the PVC manufacturers have gone out of business. And like I said, it's super sad. But the reason is that people are it's a race to the bottom. It's a race to make money. I'm like, most of the people that probably buy our enclosures make more than we do. But it's a slow game. So we're not in this necessarily we want to survive, obviously. Right. We have to pay the bills. Right. But it is to create something that is more. Like these animals have been a huge part of our entire lives, especially, you know, with the breeding aspect of the geckos and stuff. I'm like, I upgraded the geckos before we ever started upgrading, or not upgrading, but fixing our own house. So it makes a difference. You have to put the animals before yourself.
And
so
this is, I have a huge confession right now, and I'm going to talk to you guys after the podcast about this, but I'm going to openly admit about this confession. And it's, you know, listen, you know, no regrets. That's the lifestyle, right? But at the end of the day, you do have some regrets. And you can't help when certain things land into your lap, okay? Like I said, you guys know I'm focus cube to the day I die, right? Okay, but I had an opportunity, okay? I had an opportunity where somebody was like, hey, can I prototype something for you for your monitors, okay? And you guys know this kind of this story a little bit, okay? And I was already talking to you guys about making something for my lace monitors. I was already in the works, but I couldn't help but to not accept this person's offer. And as much as it cost effective was, just like I can't say no to this. Like I don't want to say it was free, but holy shit, might as well be. Like okay, you want to make me something this big, make it for me. And I was willing for it. But even with that being said, it's about the animals, right, guys? It's about the animals. I love my lace monitors. This enclosure that came in, the PVC was so cheap. It was so not what I've gotten from you guys. And I realized that just by, like, I remember seeing some pieces chipped, but I remember I would bump, you know, it's big pieces. So I would bump into things and it would just break. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? The most instant regret I've ever had in my entire life was taking something that was basically free for my lace monitors and not just going through you guys and getting something that I know that is professionally top quality made. And I had to learn it the hard way. I learned that shit the hard way. I mean, it really sucks that I have to live with this, but I want to sit and tell everyone right now how much the quality stands behind Focus Cube Habitat. It is probably one of the highest grade, highest quality of PVC built enclosures that you could have your animal in. And it's something it's an investment you don't want to miss out on ever. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm telling you right now, I don't give a fuck if you're MJ and you get all the plugs in the world. It's not worth it. So what I'm trying to say is, thankfully my lace monitors can't understand English, but what they're not where I want them to be right now. And it's very unfortunate, but the reason, like, if I didn't have you guys, I wouldn't have known that. I would just maybe accept something like this and be like, but no, fuck that shit, man. Like you guys are the real deal Holyfield, man, for reals. Like Like, I don't want anything PVC unless it comes from you guys, 110% until I die.
Yeah, well, we do our best to try and actually provide the best PVC, which you wouldn't think. You think PVC is all the same, but I'm like, there's a
no, it's not. There's levels to it. I'm telling you, I want to grab a piece of it right now and break it. It's ridiculous. It was like styrofoam. I couldn't believe it. And then what's funny is the company who sent it was trying to ask me to get information from you on what kind of PVC you use. I said, go fuck yourself. No, go fuck. This isn't my job for you to figure this out. I was so upset. I'm so sorry, but I this is why you do no shortcuts. I don't give a fuck.
No shortcuts.
And you guys are so good to me. You guys take care of me. And it was just, like I said, it was a crazy situation where I had to see it for myself. And boy, did I see it. And boy, is it.
Yeah, when you look at pictures on the internet, you don't realize. You go, oh, this guy's cheaper, so I'll just go buy from them.
No.
They're using Chinese plastic that's full of lead and everything else.
This is so like people who don't have these cages have something similar, and they ask me, like, how do you have it all perfectly lined? I'm like, are all your enclosures focus cube? No, I have only like 2 of them. The rest are boa files. I'm like, dude, it ain't never gonna mesh up. It has to be focused. Like this shit is just. I'm sorry. I'm so proud of my enclosures.
It looks good back there. I'm proud too. Every time I see this, I'm like, whoa, we made that. We cut those things. We screwed them together. And
that was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It always is. I'm like that, especially that actual job was actually a really tough one. That's when my dad was in the hospital, is when we were making your enclosures. And that's the thing though, is like nobody cares, and they shouldn't care about what's going on behind the scenes. They want to have their enclosures. They pay for something. And that's what we try to deliver, is you want something that is the best for your animals, and we try to provide that. And that's the thing, is like Stephen was saying, his OCD, I'm like, it keeps him up at night. And that's what you get from us. And that is not something that you can get through a website when you're looking at photos. You can't tell that, like, we use all American made plastic. We use all American made materials. We use actual like metal screws with lock washers and lock nuts. I'm like, you tell somebody that in a message and they're like, well, this blah, blah, blah is cheaper. And it's like, you can't say, well, I use lock washers and lock nuts. And it's like, that's not going to resonate with them. But the thing is like what you're saying resonates with people. And that's why the community is a huge integral part of this. Like, well, that's why the animals are like our entire lives. They have created what this is, and we are forever grateful for that. So that's going back. Gratitude is you have to stop, you have to be present, and you have to be grateful for what you have. So like you say, you go into your room and you get calm. It's like I go into my gecko room, I get calm. That is the gratitude that you are. It's all kind of like a vibration. So like everything, this whole, without getting like all willy-nilly, if you think about something so much, you may bring it into actual, you may manifest it, right?
Right.
So we've all had difficult times, but if you manifest negativity, that's all you're going to get. Yeah. You have to be positive. You have to work towards something good. And that's what we do. It's expensive to buy American made plastic. It's expensive to buy the materials that we do. It's difficult to wake up in the middle of the night thinking, what should I do to change this? And so I think it's what people get when they buy something from us, but you can't communicate that when you're just clicking a button. Now we try to, with podcasts like this and like what we offer on the website, as far as like education and like how we explain like the different options and stuff, but it takes a little bit of effort on the person's side who's keeping the animal. And that's really what we kind of want to communicate, is it's not black and white. You have to put in some effort, but that effort that you put in will be rewarded so much.
And like I said, going back to I always knew like this project was big on you guys, but dude, it was a toll on me too. Like, holy shit. Like it was something that I wanted done, but when I wanted it done so bad, I had only done 3 of them, and there was like fucking 9 more to go. But like I knew, like once it was all like, god damn, once this was all done, like now we're talking about the gratification behind everything, right? Yes,
like exactly.
Like, but I don't know. It's just
In the moment, it's hard, and you just want to bitch about it. And you're like, God damn, I just want it to be done.
But holy shit, this is what I mean, dude. Think about how I didn't, I don't know. Okay, first and foremost, Ashley, you should have told me it was your father. I know you're dealing with something with your father, but you really blamed Justin on why my order took so long, and because.
No,
you told me because he wanted individual logos on all his, and I'm like, well, first off, I didn't even have that option, okay? But you told me Justin had a crazy order too, and you were juggling both of ours. Mind you, I got mine first, so
Justin had to wait just like everybody.
He did. But I mean, hello, if Justin, it's Justin. What the fuck? That would put stress on me too if I had a whole buttload of fucking shit to do, and here comes Justin. Hey guys, I need a wall. It's like
that's how it works.
You guys made it happen. Regardless, you made it happen. Everyone's happy, and I gotta say, kudos on making Canova so fucking sick looking.
What an awesome crew of people to work with. I'm like, Justin and Summer. I'm like, they're just nice, normal people. Like
beautiful people.
See the name? Like I remember the first time we were living in this house, manufacturing enclosures in the garage, and one day I logged onto the computer and I saw an order, and it said Justin Kabilka, and I'm like, I know this name, and I went out there and I showed Ashley.
This was before. We were in our garage, assembling in our living room.
Yeah, and I was like, look at this name. Do you know this? And she's like, dear God, do you know who this is? And I'm like, no, I don't know what any of this is. What is it? He got a 361818 for a teeny tiny baby water monitor that we were trying to figure out. And we stopped everything, and all we did was just work on this enclosure, trying to make it work correctly. And we sent that to him way back when. And
I was like, 2020. Yeah, it's still 2020.
Yeah, early 2020. And a year and a half, 2 years later, he's like, oh, I need a room full. So I'm like, it really, you have no idea what's coming. And I'm like, they've been awesome and nice. They were basically like, we have this much space. We think we need this many of these. What can we do? Just awesome people. Super fun build.
Yeah, it's a lot of the room builds is like people who have a lot of like care and they want something a certain way. So your build, Justin's build, a lot of them, it's very fun. So when you're trying to like make sure that everything is done, it's very, very, very stressful. So everybody knows that life's tough, right? Yeah. And that's part of the do better. That's part of the, you have to do more, you have to do better. You continually, you don't want to get up that day, you get up and you make this happen because people put their faith in you. And that's why, like with my dad and all that stuff, I'm like, and the same with the house stuff now. Like I've had so many panic attacks this week. We had our new CNC delivered. The house is, we're trying to get it all fixed and it's all like coming together at once, but do better. Nobody cares. They want their stuff. And that's cool. Cause like, actually, we went to work today and we assembled stuff and we put it together and we, manufacture stuff. And that's what keeps us sane. Really, it makes us crazy and stresses us out, but it keeps us sane because we're doing stuff for people who believe in us and we believe in you. We believe in your vision. If you believe in us, we believe in you. That's really what it comes down to. Everybody is trying to, it's a rising tide.
If I could be real on that subject, Stephen and Ashley, as much as I appreciate your guys' work ethic, which is second to none, like when it comes to what you guys are doing with the amount of people, which is just you two, like, holy shit, it's nuts. But there's a reason why I'm so happy to be a part of the couple of hours we had behind Bill Siegel's backyard, is because you guys need that time. Like, as much as you guys do so much for the hobby, we are nothing without you guys being happy with what you guys have going on. And I'm not saying you guys aren't happy, but I want to make sure that Ashley and Steven have at least somewhat a little bit of play going with all their work, because if you're just doing pure work and there's no play, that equals zero. Okay. So come to Trap Fest.
Oh yeah.
All right. We're ready for some.
We'll be there, dude. We're getting everything lined out to live a life again.
Yeah, we're trying. It's the last 3 years have been zero,
but most of it's been the pandemic's problem.
Yes,
like you can't, dude. You're put in a position where the demand is, dude, because of the pandemic. I can only imagine. Like, it's like fuck, like, dude. Like I said,
a year, it was basically trying to break even because everything doubled, and people put their faith in us through that. And it's not like, oh, hey, the freight is double. Your enclosure that you paid, $300 for actually cost us like $300. So we're actually shipping it to you. You can't say that because they put a lot into purchasing that. And so you have to, and that's why the geckos are a huge thing. And that's something that I could speak hours on, is how they helped us be able to cover that for the people that put faith in us in the pandemic. I'm like, you can't just say, I can't afford this. That's the thing, is we had to buy plastic that doubled in price. So we priced out enclosures that were at a certain price, and then we go to buy plastic from our manufacturer
when it was available.
When it was available. That's part of why our lead times.
Yeah, we would buy plastic and we had no idea what the price was. They'd say it's on its way. We'll tell you what it costs when it gets here. And we would just have to show up and pay whatever it was.
And it did double.
Over time, it went up every time. So when we first started versus what we could buy plastic at towards the end was double. So our costs doubled.
How much
the geckos would be out of business?
Let me ask you this, and why I ask you this, I'm going to take a little, men's break, but you can't hear me. How much pushback are you guys dealing with customers who are like, hey, where's my enclosure? Where's my enclosure? And how are you delegating that?
Virtually none.
Yeah, now.
Like, we've managed to do a good job at trying to keep up. I mean, every now and then you run like a hair late and those people ask, but if you're honest with them and you actually respond to them and tell them what's going on, they're totally fine. This isn't like you send a message into the abyss and maybe not, you get something eventually. I'm like, it's just literally the two of us. It depends on what we got going on that day or the next day, but we'll respond to emails and we'll tell you what's going on
as soon as we can. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, most of the stuff is on track, but we try and be as honest as we can with lead times. So a trick with that is to not, over promise and undeliver. We literally try and
it's definitely an estimation, because it's like,
you don't know what's coming.
You know where you're going to be?
I don't
2
have
or
a
3
crystal
months?
ball. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, in the future, I think this should be done at this time. And we do our best to make sure we get there on that time. If not early, at least on time. We try not to be late. And if we are, it's super, super rare. And typically, I think everybody's been understanding at this point.
For the most part,
this is not like it's not taking 1.5 years like some manufacturers, or a year to get your enclosure and you've never talked to us the whole time. If you're waiting on something and you hadn't got it and you thought you should have, you just email us and we tell you.
Yeah. For like large enclosures or like large orders, like that can be a little bit of I guess a shift, because it's just 2 of us. So we have to work with, what's actually on our production floor. But if you email us, we will within a day or 2. Usually it's within the same day, but it just depends on, like, we try to do. So one of the things that I talked to Steven about is that, say we get, 10 messages and we're trying to deal with them, and like each message takes 5 to 10 minutes. I'm like, that's hours out of our day. And now everybody is just important, but so sometimes like it may roll into the next day, but if you message us, we will reply to you. And because it's important, because you want that communication. Like it may not be within the minute, the hour, whatever, but we're working to, it's just us.
Yeah, we're not a nameless, faceless corporation.
Is just us.
It's literally like,
it's people
ask
me or
to talk
Steven.
to our sales department or our shipping department. And I'm like, look, we're looking at each other like, which one are you? You know what I mean?
And if we're messaging, if we're spending lots of time doing that, we're not producing. So we're not machining, we're not doing something. So that's with the machine that we just got, which was crazy this week. Part of that,
stoked.
Dude, it's a monster.
Well, it's our first employee, because a lot of it is going to be taking Steven away from having to babysit the current machine that we have and letting the machine do the work. And that machine is a huge investment. But it's also like having an employee. So it will be able to do stuff that Steven currently has to stop what he's doing and go and babysit the machine. So that's going to be a huge thing. Now we're going to have to work to get that up and running, and, all the, learning process with that. But that's kind of the thing that's really fun. Like, we love the challenge, and we loved being able to, once it's running, we will be able to be even faster. So we'll basically it's our 3rd employee. So it's going to be Steven, Ashley, and the shop saver.
So another heavy question. Do you guys ever plan on having kids?
Whenever everything kind of like levels out and gets normal, it's like having a kid is one of those things that you really need to, I don't think that's something like everything else you should jump haphazardly into and try and figure it out later.
Of course, because
Well-
it changes the whole dynamic of things, right? So, but I guess that that would take is like having a kid would kind of relate on when do you guys feel like you should hire somebody, right? Because I feel like whenever if we could choose, right? So
Right.
if you guys could choose to have a kid, it would probably when you have someone that you could hire. And I'm curious, how far do you guys feel like you guys are from that? Like, do you guys feel like you could train somebody at some point to take a little bit of load off, or do you feel like that's far-fetched from now? Like, you don't know when that's ever going to be.
Well, currently, I think we really don't have much personal time, to be honest. Like we are with each other 24/7, but
Every
we have very little personal time, and
Right.
everything is focused on making sure the animals are good. Number one, that is number one. And then we go to the shop and we make sure that the people who have put their faith in us are number one taken care of. So everybody's taken care of. And then when we get home in the evening, it's taking care of the dogs, and it is zero time for us. So having a kid is like having, not like having an employee, obviously.
No, it's like having a whole business.
It's our business is our kid.
Another LLC.
Definitely,
So much paperwork.
it's something that
Oh
could
my
be in the
God,
future.
dude, it really is. It's
You have to have
crazy. Yeah.
Well,
have to have time.
I would think of what we're going through right now is having a tiger by its tail, and we're really close. We've almost got this thing wrestled to the ground. So it's like you just got to keep grinding. You got to figure out, everything that you're doing. Make sure what you're doing is right, and it'll all work out. But we're like this close to having everything on a normal level. So like
A real
materials
life.
are becoming more available. Prices have somewhat stabilized. Stuff is getting kind of normal. So I think that we're like this close to being able to go, okay, we need to sell this many of these or this type of these, and we'll have this kind of order queue and we'll be able to keep up with it in this time. And you can like kind of live a more predictable life. But we literally started from nothing. We got dropped in the grease of COVID, and we're just now like emerging out of the fog, and we can kind of figure shit out now. So we're like this close to being just normal.
So let me ask you, Steven, me and you right now, man to man. So who is throwing out the kid talk more? Is it you or her?
Right now, it's really neither of us. We are like 100% laser focused on just trying to make everything that we're doing work. So we've tried so hard for so long, you cannot get distracted at this point. So it's like we gotta get ourselves on this crest, and we got to ride that wave. So we're about ready to surf.
It's a whole another level of what you guys are creating the legacy that we were talking about earlier. But another real question I have for you is who keeps the most of you out of the two grounded? Who has the craziest ideas, and who's the one that's like, yo, like, let's be more practical about this? I'm curious.
Well, it depends on what it is. When it comes to like the box end of it, I'm psychotic and she's trying to calm down. And when it comes to the animal end of it, she's on Morph Market and she's got, multiple like messages and emails. And I'm like, you got to put your credit card away. Stop doing this,
Right.
quit buying these things.
Right.
So it really takes both of us. And I think the like combination of the two of us kind of like disagreeing/agreeing with each other actually makes it work. So if it was just one or the other running wild,
It's so boring. It'd be so boring and lame. Like
it'd be the opposite. It'd be just on fire. So it's very good. We actually put each other out. We don't light each other up. So it's actually, we're both two passionate people who are doing two different things, and we have to come together, and it works out in the end. If not, it gets sketchy quick.
I just love how if Ashley is fired up about something, you ain't putting that fire out. It's on. You can't.
Oh yeah, no, you're not going to stop it. She'll listen to you. She'll nod, smile, and hear what you say, and then she'll go do the opposite of whatever you just said. She's like, "Oh, I understand," and then she's,
Well,
never mind.
That's part of the empathy.
We have to be at FedEx next Tuesday at 8 a.m.
I have a vision, but I also understand your feelings.
Yeah.
But no, it really works. It's the same thing. I'll try and make stupid boxes, and she's like, maybe we shouldn't do this. And I'm like, let's throw it out there and see what happens. So it's the same but different. It's the same but different.
I have a wrap-up question before we get into some hot seat questions. Man, this 3 hours went by really, really quick. I appreciate it, guys. But I have a big, I came up into this reptile game on a budget. Like, I didn't have a lot of money at all. Shit, even if I had you guys in the beginning, I don't think I could afford this. Off the bat, like, tubs saved my life. Target tubs saved my life because how cheap it was. And I was able to make that happen. But obviously, evolving is everything. I was able to evolve and I'm so happy to be where I'm at. A lot of people out there, like, they want to be in this game in a certain type of level, but they feel like if they don't have something like this, they shouldn't get the animal. But then there's the other thought of things where people think, well, get the animal you can get and put in whatever you can, right? You guys, without being biased right now, at what point does somebody invest into the enclosures versus the animals? Or do you feel like it should always be the enclosures that you should be investing before even getting the animals, coming from you guys?
Well, I guess it depends on just maximum ROI. If that's what you're looking at, if you're trying to just make the most amount of money, you might be able to skate away with the minimum amount of setup and produce the most amount of animals. But is that really what you're trying to do? So if you're, it's like you got to walk before you can run. And if you have an expensive animal, which it's ludicrous how many times I've had a guy with a $8,000 snake mess and go, I spent all my money on the animal. I want you to discount your $400 enclosure. And whenever I come across that, I go, you just got the cart in front of the horse. Not that you need a bajillion-dollar setup to take care of an animal. You at least need the minimum to make sure that you can care for it, whatever that is. So if it is your tub and a piece of heat tape and it happens to work out, great for you. But if you're going to spend all this money on an animal that you're pinning your whole future on and you can't take care of it, you've already screwed yourself. So, yeah. I mean, whatever that means to you, if it means setup first or animal first, you have to be able to invest in your investment. So you got to have a foundation, which a lot of it is the ability to care for the animal, whether that's your time or whether it's the setup. You got to have it.
Yeah, it all comes down to intention. So what do you intend to do? What is your future? If you want your future, like you and I also use tubs, right? But we didn't want our future to be in target tubs. We wanted to grow. And that is the thing that I just harp on constantly, is having an open mind and a growth mindset. Do better. So I'm not saying that you need to buy a $5,000 snake or gecko and put it in something tiny, but it's all nuanced. You have to be able to have your vision. What is your intention? What do you want to do? And always, always put the animal first. You can successfully keep an animal in a cheap tub, but it is much easier to do it in something that is a proven setup, right? So it all comes down to the amount of time that you want to invest, the amount of research that you want to do, and what your intentions are to do with the animal. So if you want to breed it, or you want to, keep it as a pet or whatever. So it's that going back to the advice is like, I don't have advice because I don't know your exact situation. For me, what I would do is I would have a good setup and I would have a good animal. That's what you want to base your foundation off of. But somebody else is in a different spot. I also had I started from nothing. The focus started from nothing. We did not have any outside investment. I used my retirement. I used credit cards for the geckos and built it from there. So if there's a will, there's a way. But the thing that has to be first and foremost is taking care of the animal, however that may be.
Amen, sister. Because I feel like we should be brother and sister. Amen. I feel like we should be brother and brother, Steven. You're awesome. Listen, the Haudes, huge fan of you guys. I fucking love you guys, man. Mainly because the motorsport family don't have you guys. We got you now. Yes.
Yep. We moved.
Listen,
there's some stuff in the garage. Don't worry.
Yeah,
no. The toys are there. I see the toys are there. Listen, once racing's in the blood, it never leaves. Okay,
makes a difference.
It's a whole. This goes back to mentality, competitiveness. It's different. It's like if you're not first, you're last. You know what I mean? Like it's just something within that part of winning that a lot of people don't even know what that taste is like. Mm-hmm. They don't, and that's okay. I think that's what keeps corporate America alive. People who don't know what it's like. But at the end of the day, like, man, it's cool to relate that with somebody. Yep. And that's you two. And awesome episode, guys. One of many rounds to come. You guys will come back on here for sure. I definitely want to do maybe the next person episode at Bill's. I mean, what's Arlington looking like in February? Is that possible?
I'm gonna figure whatever I got to figure out at this point.
Yeah, so that was very enjoyable.
Yeah, hemmed up.
We don't want to be hermits
in the house, so we're gonna try.
What if I can have any influence? I mean, I would love to have this round 2 continued at Bill's house.
Okay.
We'll do a round 2 with the mayor, and we'll make a nice chondro fucking episode out of it, and good Texas banger out of it. I don't know, guys. Listen, there's so much that you guys have involved in what's making this hobby grow. And coming just from the enclosure aspect of things, you also have a legacy with the geckos, which I'm very proud that we talked about a little bit tonight. Which, I'm sorry that this turned in mostly to a focus episode, but
we could talk for hours on both.
Right, and like I said, we will. There's as many more to come. Just because, like I said, this is all family, and I love what you guys have going on. But let me hit you guys with these hot seat questions. We'll wrap things up here, and then we'll make this episode a done deal, man. Are you ready for these hot seat questions or what?
Are we supposed to answer?
We're supposed to bring Bill a gecko before we begin. Is that what?
Oh my God! Can you guys be the one? Okay, he's out here creating ball python people, chondro people. Why don't you make this guy a gecko person? Because apparently he's a retic guy now.
Well, yeah, that's the latest and greatest. There.
Yeah,
I guess we are too somehow. So
geckos are the latest and greatest.
Well, I don't know. We'll contact.
You need
something
to
with legs, Bill. Man.
Yeah, that's what he needs.
Level. Even though he just has a grandson right now, so he already has that something.
Gecko's smaller.
That won't be walking very quickly.
Hot seat questions for the ultimate duo, guys. Listen, I do not need an explanation. The quicker, the better.
All right, who's gonna answer faster?
You guys are both. Yeah, you guys don't look at each other. I need the answer. This is how it works with a couple. Same answer, same time, no eye connection. Are you ready for this? Here we go. Hot seat questions for Method Noir.
There you go.
Habitats coming in hot. Frozen, thawed, or live?
Frozen.
Favorite gecko diet?
Ooh.
Pangea and dubious.
I like Pangea. It smells cool.
So if you could pick one, Pangea. Red chondro neo or yellow chondro?
Red.
Ooh.
Jesus, what is he saying?
Favorite chondro locality?
Oh, Biak. It's Biak. She's wrong.
No, I'd have to say Biak. A lot of the designers have come out of Biaks.
They look mean. They got big
powerful.
They have big heads, yeah.
If you want a snake that's going to eat for sure, you need.
You or your frozen thawed. It don't matter.
A cut or no cut?
Scrambled. Oh, cut.
You fucked Pre first shed meal or post first shed meal?
Post.
Yay imports or boo imports?
Yay.
One reptile you would import to your collection anywhere around the world, what would it be?
Chinese alligator.
Oh God.
I like that she knew that.
Yeah, she's been thinking a lot about it.
No, that's what I want the most.
Because I'm married.
Okay. Good call, man. You're living good.
I know how it goes.
One reptile nobody should ever import ever in their life. Leave it the fuck alone. What would it be? Come on. Think about the turtles. Let's go.
No, I'd have to say tortoises because they live so long. People just that
they're tiny.
You have them in your will.
They can't even move fast. Leave them alone. Yay sports or no sports?
Yay.
Yeah. Yay.
Favorite sport?
Stand-up jet ski.
Watercraft for sure. Good.
It is the best. Look it up. Look at my channel. It is
go fast,
the
get
best.
low.
Yep.
Low flying aircraft. That's what it is.
Favorite professional stand-up jet skier of all time?
Me. I mean.
Oh, I love it.
My wife. That's it.
Number 7 in the world. I
Six.
kind of wanted to learn who's a G out there. She called herself. That was so hard. Ashley, I love you. That was so epic.
Too.
That was so hard. That was so gangster. Okay.
I never got paid for it, so technically I'm not professional.
I'll give you $1. We're good.
Okay.
I feel like this is a no-brainer for Ashley, but I got to say it anyways. Big flexor or no flexor?
I don't know.
Ashley, shut the fuck up. Are you kidding me? You are big. Just knock it off.
But nobody knew about the geckos, so I'm like, I do both. Big flexor. I'll go with that.
Show off all the time.
Big flex.
Steven's a flexor too.
I took a shower and fixed my hair before this. All right,
That's
I'm to go to bed. That's a flex. Yeah.
That's a flex.
I gotta go night after this, and I look good.
Steak or fish?
Steak.
Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Van
Ooh,
Halen.
yeah, Halen.
Ice Cube or Dr. Dre?
Ooh, the Cuber.
I'm gonna have to say Cube. Yeah.
Number 1 Southern rapper of all time?
Lil Troy.
Dude.
No, Lil Troy. I'd say and. And
Isn't that wanna be a baller? Isn't that little boy?
yeah, baller, shot caller,
20-inch blades on the Impala. Caller, get laid tonight. Oh, so hard. Hit the highway, getting money the flyway.
Yep.
It's gotta be a better way, better way, better way. I'm bumping that song. I'm bumping that song. Look, my dog's trying to come in the room. I'm bumping that song tonight before I go to bed. That's what I'm talking about. Oh my God. Okay, I gotta get back to the questions. I fucked that up. Okay, here we go. Here we go. West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
Third Coast.
Third Coast.
Oh, come on, guys. I get it. But we're talking about the pioneer. We're talking about before the screw game. Come on. East Coast rap or East Coast rap or West Coast rap? Let's make this a Tupac Biggie thing.
Hey, you asked for a concise answer and we both gave the Third Coast.
Yeah,
so we
Third
followed
Coast.
your rules and that's what it is.
Okay. How about what about the second coast? We'll talk about the second coast. West or East?
I respect them all. I'd have to say,
come on.
I have to say East.
Okay.
Yeah.
My mom's from the East.
I know. I'm like, it's pretty thuggy over there. I like that.
It's
You know what's funny? If anyone, I know I don't ask myself these hot seat questions, but I would say East because everything it was influenced off the East. Everything like even like Tupac's roots is from the East Coast. So like everything came from the East to the West. West is late to everything. But the thing is, West just does it the best. That is true. West does it the best. Let's talk about the weed, Mexican food, not the PVC enclosures. Hey, you got
we got to think about old Gary. That guy's pretty gangster, and he's from the East, so we got to get.
That's true.
There we go.
Respect.
Wonder what he's listening to right now.
He will at some point. Okay, little word association. First thing to come to mind: PVC.
American.
Focus.
Milk.
Titties.
Eggs.
Yes.
I'm back to eggs, bro. Some of us are adults.
I am a child.
Yeah.
Favorite python species.
The hangy green ones.
What? Okay, cool.
What do you call them?
Hangy green ones.
Yeah.
Rat snake.
Sometimes they're yellow.
All right, green trees. Yeah.
Cocoa.
Fiber.
Husk.
Stuck shed.
Shit.
Oh, yeah, shit.
Ambient.
Oh, nightmare.
Fine.
Nightmare.
Ventilation.
Geckos.
Needed maybe more, maybe less.
Important.
Instagram trolls.
Cowards.
Likes.
FedEx shipping.
Hey, not bad.
We like our guy.
If you were to have, if there was one species you would love to see in a focus cube habitat that you have yet to see out there, like maybe one species that you could think of, or maybe one breeder of species that you would love that might be listening, like, hey, would love to have these out there. What would be that one species you would love to see in a focus cube habitat? It could be monitor, it could be a snake, whatever. What's out there that you just want to see in a focus cube habitat?
I think the next thing we're working towards is some hoity-toity super dwarfs. What I'm guessing. Ooh. Now she's gonna say something different, but
Bolins.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like dude.
Yeah.
Gangster.
Yeah.
Going for the expensive clients.
Hey, super dwarfs, they're awesome snakes and they can get as expensive as you want, just like the chondros.
It sure gets down like that. Listen, we had just shy of 60 people tapped in on tonight's episode. Thank you so much, everyone who spent their Sunday night with us, and the likes. How many likes we got? Let me just see. Holy shit, we have 60 likes, dude. That's like over 100. That is over 100% watch to like ratio. That's what I'm talking about.
There you
go. So obviously the support over 100%. What do you have to say to all your supporters out there, all your new, current, old customers, everyone who showed you love? What do you have to say to everyone out there, guys?
Well, essentially, thanks for giving us a shot, because we're trying to do our best for everybody who's out there, trying to support us.
Yeah, this is our entire thing, and we appreciate you taking time, because the time is the only thing that you can't get back. So we appreciate
it. It's hard to be number one, right?
Listen, I don't think, here's the thing. I hope you guys realize you're number one, because some of that kind of stuff drives people to be number one, but I feel like you guys fear never to be number one. And you guys are number one, man. I understand your work ethic and I get it. Like, to be under that kind of pressure, I can only imagine. I do have the coolest reptile podcast in the world, so maybe, But listen, at the end of the day, like I don't listen. This is why what goes down to work ethic, like that championship attitude, that racing fucking like that we won't stop. Like there's a reason why I push this podcast so hard. There's a reason why you guys push focus and method so hard. Is because the passion. Like you don't have a choice. It's what you love. It's what you're gonna put out. So
exactly, make it happen.
Man, listen, this was a great episode. I appreciate this so much. Thank you for spending your guys' time, energy, and your night with us.
Thanks for the invite.
Do me a favor, hang tight. I'm going to talk to you guys right after this. But that's a wrap. Steven and Ashley Haude, Method Noir, and Focus Cube Habitat. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Hey, listen, hang tight. I'll talk to you guys right now. Thank you so much.
You got it.
All right. Man, what a great episode. 3 hours went by very, very, very quick, man. I got to say thank you so much for spending this time with me. Hit that like button. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys like the best out of this round one, because I will have these guys. These guys will be on a Thursday night. I need them on a Thursday night. You guys know Thursday nights are the big nights, and I need these guys on a Thursday night. But guys, make sure you guys are ready, because guess what? It's Sunday. Tomorrow, we have a very big podcast with somebody who I feel like is probably one of the best, newer, bigger snake keepers in the game. So a lady, I should say, okay? A lovely lady by the name of Nicole, who's taking a lot of consideration on her behavioral actions of her big snakes. Like she's already put out some great content about her big snakes. She's just doing things the right way, I feel like. So we're going to tap in with my homegirl, lady. Excuse me, I'm saying this wrong. Lady Tiss Exotics. Holy shit. My God, this is why my sisters always got pissed off at me. Shit like this. You know what I mean? Anyways, Lady Tiss Exotics, my homegirl Nicole, coming on New Breeder on the Block series tomorrow, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Set your reminders, because we're going to have a really awesome talk. She's been a really awesome supporter of mine, and I cannot wait to let her know how much I appreciate her work and how much she's putting into this game. And yeah, other than that, I'm packing my bags because I'm going to New York. That's right. I'm flying to the East Coast. It's going down this Thursday night, live and direct. I'm tapping in with my East Coasters. Going to meet some friends and whatnot. And then I have somebody in the Pennsylvania area that I'm going to be doing a live podcast with. If you guys don't know who John Adranya is from Sim Container, he is a sponsor of this channel. My very, very, very first sponsor ever. And I'm going to be tapping in with him live and direct in the East Coast. He has had 2 clutches of lace monitors so far, man. This guy is living a dream. I cannot wait to live someday. But more importantly, Mac Dre, Alice came from Sim Container. His business partner, Alex, and himself are the reason behind Mac Dre and Alice. But it's so awesome because I'm going to be so live and direct with my man Thursday night. Make sure you set your reminder, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. All monitor talk, baby. All monitor talk. It's going to be amazing. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Don't forget, if you want to tap in more, if you want that exclusive content, click that very first link. Become a part of that Trap Talk Patreon family, the coolest reptile family in the world. And yeah, tap you into the Discord. Once you become a part of the Patreon, go give me a follow on Instagram, Trap Talk God 619, and follow the podcast's Instagram page as well. Trap Talk Podcast on Instagram. If you're on Facebook, please head over to the Trap Talk Podcast page, like and follow, and I will catch you guys here tomorrow night. Thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you so much, Steven. That's a wrap. Episode 273. Catch you on the flip side. Cheers.